And then she says, so we were talking about it like ahead of time, mentioned it like that could be something that was like hot, I guess. I don't know. I
But
mentioned, what is it? Wanting to show it to this is so embarrassing to talk about. I'm so sorry. Give me a second. I remember I told him like, oh, oh, when it came to like the sharing, like, is it like, sorry, I'm like, to show it to like the person that I was like currently in love with and stuff like that. He even expressed like, oh, what if that person like shares it around? And I was like, oh no, like, don't worry. Like, we'll make sure that it's like very limited, very limited. Like, it could just be my face. I try. As every day passes, I will be leaning in more on. I do actually think that Pxie did an elite level fucking scam.
so the day has come, okay? I told you guys that once the transcript has dropped, it's gonna be one of the biggest nukes to ever nuke. I was actually feeling really bored with this Destiny drama the past couple of days, okay? Just mainly because there's just like nothing going on. It's kind of like the slowest burn ever, like in terms of like the drama. I've been covering this from the very beginning, okay? And I've taken a side. I've taken Steven's side, okay? I just want to say that my judgment is almost never wrong, okay? It's been wrong at times, but I have iterated on it and improved on whose side to pick in dramas and conflicts. And, well, here's the thing, is that when I decided to defend Steven, I'm just glad that I chose the right side, okay? Let's just put it like that. Just mean because, you know, it's not always guaranteed, all right? Sometimes you're going to be like, oh, wow, okay, this is going to be a little nerve-wracking to choose sides or something like that, right? But, you know, it's not like I'm surprised or anything. It's maybe because I'm pretty confident in the way that I pick things, okay? I'm confident in the way that I analyze things. I'm a pretty insecure person. Like, I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to deny that I'm an insecure person. But when it comes to my craft, okay, when it comes to my craft specifically, and this is my craft, I would like to think I'm an expert at it, okay? When it comes to analyzing evidence, claims, past the initial emotional reaction, okay? Because people are unable to move past any initial cancellation or emotional reactions when it comes to severe allegations or disgusting details. I'm pretty good at moving past that emotional, visceral response, okay? So thankfully, Steven has read the entire thing, okay, on stream, and it seems like August has pushed out a video ASAP. So yeah, we're just gonna jump into it, okay? So I have not reacted to this. Again, I have not reacted to this. I'm blind, okay? Blind to the entire thing, okay? So, good luck.
For that give, send, go money. I'm 99% sure that her parents are able to front all of the money for this lawsuit, and she just collected that money so that she didn't have to stream or work or do anything, and she's just using it to go travel and do shit. But
Oh yeah, I've said this again, okay? And I'm gonna keep saying it. It's kind of crazy to me how everyone just kind of forgot about the GoFundMe that she did that was raising like over $50,000. Yeah, that was pretty nuts. Yeah, I'm not okay with that. Especially when you don't even provide a single shred of evidence that any of that money was going towards the lawyers or any of the filings or anything, right? Because it costs money every single time you want to make a new motion or something, right? So yeah.
But okay. Plaintiff was seeking first a temporary restraining order, then a preliminary injunction against me. We had a hearing for that.
Just very shocking to me.
I would argue that the hearing went horribly for them. So they tried to seal it immediately after, even though it was a public hearing, which is dumb. But now we've finally gotten an order from the judge on whether or not that hearing can be sealed. Order on plaintiff's motion to seal hearing transcript. This matter is before the court on plaintiff Jane Doe's motion to have a June 3rd, 2025.
Also, I just want to say I'm just glad that I'm not going to be the one reading it this time, okay? I'm tired of reading these 50-page documents, okay? I'm sick and tired of reading these 14-page documents, okay? Thank you, okay? Thanks for uploading this. Thank God.
Evidentiary hearing transcript filed under seal. Defendant timely responded, to which
Destiny estimates it's more than 100K in legal fees for her. When Destiny was on my stream, he said that it was 150K at least.
Plaintiff timely replied. Accordingly, plaintiff's motion is ripe for disposition. Ripe meaning now is an appropriate time to make a ruling on it. After a careful review of the
See, I even came in my lawyer outfit.
motion, response, reply, relevant authority, and for the reasons discussed below, plaintiff's motion is, that's it, hang on my glass on, is that denied in part? Is that granted in part? Or is that just in bold letters? Denied. Just completely. Looks pretty bad. Yikes. Actually, I should have left on. Hold on. My intellectual look. Background. On April 4th, 2025, the court...
This is probably Destiny's happiest day in, like, months. Because the entire time he's just been depression streaming and doing depression shit.
Court held a hearing on plaintiff's motion for a temporary restraining order and
crazy.
preliminary injunction. At the hearing, District Judge Jacqueline Becerra denied plaintiff's motion for a TRO and referred the remainder of the motion to the undersigned for disposition. Accordingly, the undersigned held a hearing on June 3rd, 2025 on plaintiff's motion for preliminary injunction. That hearing lasted approximately 2.5 hours and saw both plaintiff and defendant.
It has not been an easy fight, okay? Let me just put it that way, okay? It just hasn't been an easy fight, okay? Not for Destiny and neither for me, okay? But yeah.
Testify as to the issues raised by plaintiff's motion. Additionally,
but especially not for Destiny, okay? I'm not lumping myself in with, his, fucking struggle or anything, okay? Is it 150K because it seems like Pxie's lawyers are from the bargain bin and they don't do a lot of homework? Well, you have to keep in mind that there is also the court filing and like trying to make a over the seas request for a subpoena and all these subpoena requests and everything that they had to do. Just know that if you pay for lawyers to write up a bunch of stupid fucking motions for you, just know that every motion and all the lawyers' services to review and write the motion costs a lot of money, even from the bargain bin. So yeah.
the hearing was open to the public. There was no request made to the court either before or during the hearing to seal the courtroom in any fashion.
A lot of money.
And accordingly, there were others in attendance beyond the undersigned, court staff, the parties, and their counsel. Now, it's so crazy. Now, it could be that the judge is just a massive fan of mine and somehow I'm rigging the whole thing, because I feel like I've said all of these things multiple times and all of the Kiwi Farms lawyers said they didn't matter, but if you want to have something sealed, it's important to get things sealed before you have the thing happen. I don't think that the court looks fondly upon people playing with the process where they're trying to like seal shit in order to hide.
No, sir, it does not. I believe that the court actually has I believe the court actually has a lot of guards against fucking up the process like this or trying to use the process to torture someone. But because the judicial system is so encumbered and because they have to review like 50 trillion cases all at once, they're unable to process a single case in detail all that much. So just keep in mind that it isn't that the court hates Destiny or anything like that it's dragged on for this long. It's because typically when it comes to governmental systems, they are genuinely just completely underfunded and trash. I believe I heard from somewhere that if you work as a public defender, for people who cannot hire a lawyer because everyone is entitled to a lawyer, I believe that when they go to their office to work, it's like filled with cockroaches and it's like completely like just slave work. When you are, a public representative of some criminal who cannot afford a lawyer. Just completely underfunded, completely trash. The process is just completely fucked. Okay. But yeah.
Stuff from the public when it's obvious that that's the intention. If you want to have a closed door hearing, you can make that statement ahead of time. We want to have a hearing, we want it to be under seal, and then you set that up. You don't have a hearing and then try to seal it afterwards because you think it went bad for you, especially by making bullshit excuses for it. But that's just my impression. I could be retarded, and maybe the judge is also wrong, and the Kiwi Farms people are right, it's possible. Who knows? Plaintiff, however, filed a motion to seal the hearing transcript, here referred to as the transcript, citing the existence of highly sensitive, private, and confidential information, including personal details with regards to the identity of Miss Doe, details concerning Miss Doe's harm and suffering because of defendant's actions, and sexually explicit content. The filing of the transcript indeed incited much fervor to the end of a concerned call from the court reporter regarding next steps. Given plaintiff's allegations as to the potential harm resulting from the testimony, a then lack of an existing protective order governing the parties' actions as to, for example, a procedure for dealing with inadvertently disclosed confidential information, were there any, and a litany of then recently filed motions, including for a gag order tangentially related to elements of the parties' testimony, the court granted in part plaintiff's motion to seal, pending further order of the court. Yeah, so it's just saying there's been a lot of back and forth, basically, about whether or not to seal or not seal this, and yeah, okay. In the intervening period, we've addressed several of the parties' outstanding motions and, now being well acquainted with the equities of the case, issued the foreshadowed further order of the court. Now, I like it whenever the judge writes on stuff because I feel more sane, because I feel like opposing counsel is crazy, Joan. I'm talking about you, okay? Despite all of her love letters that she writes to me and every motion that she files on behalf of her client, who I assume is paying.
Will we speculate where he's at? This is maybe a streamer's house. Who knows? Indeterminate, I'll say. He says he's in the EU and this is Switzerland.
I feel like their arguments are just unhinged. I feel like they're just insane arguments. I feel like this statement of now being well acquainted with the equities of the case, every time I see the judge write on this, I feel like they're continually coming down the other side. And now being well acquainted with the equities of the case makes me feel like he's even more familiar now with everything going on here.
He's doing a debate in Bongerland tomorrow? Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
And they don't stop coming. They don't stop coming. The rulings. Okay.
Okay.
Applicable principles and law. Pursuant to the... What is this guy? I can't tell if he's riffing or this is stuff he's reading. I always riff. What are you talking about? And then I made a really funny joke at court, and then the judge looked at me, and then he's... No, I'm just kidding. Stop. Okay. I'm reading the ruling now. Okay. Pursuant to the local rules of the Southern District of Florida, unless otherwise provided by law, court rule, or court order, proceedings in the United States District Court are public, and court filings are matters of public record. The general public possesses a common law right to access judicial records, and judicial records are presumed to be public documents. Well-established 11th Circuit case law protects this common law right because once a matter is brought before a court for resolution, it is no longer solely the party's case, but also the public's case. So this is the thing I've been saying over and over and over again. Pxie wants to do all this stuff like in the shadows and have everything sealed and everybody anonymous and everything redacted. And it's like, bro, for like a Substack, okay, you can do whatever you want, but like if you want to go to court, well, these are like public filings. This is like public interest now. Like you can't hide everything over and over again. Like you have to like, we're in court now. It's time to be adults, you know?
Yeah.
Analysis. Based on these rules and principles, when a party orders a transcript of a hearing from the court reporter, transcripts filed on the docket are presumptively public judicial documents. As such, they become part of the public record in a case.
Okay, guys, reminder, please like the stream. Please donate if you're able, okay? I would really appreciate your help. I just want to say thank you guys for all the support that you have given me for the past few months. It is crazy. It's been a wild ride. I believe the court case, I feel as though the court case, I'm not an expert, but I feel as though the court case is coming to a close, okay? And the arc may or may not be concluding. Who knows? Okay. It could be the case. God, it's been a wild ride. But it could be the case that, you know, it's going to drag out for another few months. And we're going to go to trial. Very unlikely. It's going to get dismissed. Less than 50% chance that this will happen. But it could be dismissed. And then that's just going to be the end. Okay. You people would like to continue watching, let me know. Otherwise, it's goodbye.
And accessible to the public like any other public document. The motion here seeks to alter that rule for this filing. Thus, the movant has the burden to overcome this presumptive right of access to the filed transcript. So the movant is the person who files a motion, because you're the mover, the movant, right? And then presumptively, everything is public. So you have to make an argument for why should this thing not be public. Thus, plaintiff has the burden of showing good cause why the right of access should be limited. Thus, a movement must make a specific showing of a compelling cause as opposed to relying on stereotyped or conclusory statements. Oh no, so you have to make an actual argument. You can't just, write random shit. Good luck. Oh, esports Batman, already salty. One of the many lawyers who has been proven to be a total legal retard with regards to this. But I like it. How mad that every quote unquote lawyer on the internet that was following this case is so brain broken by me. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the boy chain. I don't know if it's the Ray-Bans auto sunglass featured.
See, this is more like old Destiny, okay? This is what I remember Destiny when he was at his peak, okay? Constantly making jokes, constantly cracking, constantly, making, it's funny fucking stupid statements all the time, like a retard. Yeah, this is the old Destiny, okay? We'll have old Destiny back for one day, okay? Non-depressed-Destiny, okay? Happy-Destiny, okay? That's horrible, but...
Prescription lenses, okay? Yeah. I don't know if it's my stylish DGG merch, okay? I don't know if it's my 38-inch arms. I don't know what it is, but something just triggers the fuck out of you guys, and it breaks your brains, and I'm here for it. I love it, okay? Plaintiff relies primarily on 3 cases to support her assertion that the subject matter of the transcript is traditionally considered private, not public, none of which aid plaintiff's case here, or for that matter, are binding on us. Okay, so I told you over and over again when these guys file motions, I always read the underlying cases because I'm curious. Jesus. Okay, and none of the cases ever apply. None of the shit they cite, I'm like, this has nothing to do with what you guys are talking about. And the judge reads cases too, and I love that. Number 1. Number 2, I think that generally speaking...
Oh, Stephen is probably talking about, for example, when Pxie's lawyers were saying, oh yeah, is this going to be dissemination if it's shared via Google Drive link? And they cited case law, right? And I'm guessing, I'm just speculating, that the judge was like, oh, this doesn't actually apply. All the things that you're talking about, every single one of the precedents that you're saying, I don't think it actually applies. That's what I'm getting, but I could be wrong, okay? But
when it comes to federal court, it's nice if you can cite from your from the particular district you're in, or at the very least, you want to cite in the circuit that you're in. Now, you don't have to cite from you could cite from other circuits, but generally speaking, I think the particular circuits respect their stuff more than anybody else's because it's their circuit, right? And that's how the court system in the United States works, So Florida is in the 11th Circuit, I believe. And so you want to cite, ideally, 11th Circuit cases when you're talking about stuff that you want to apply in the court area that you're filing your case in, First, okay, so now the judge is going through the cases that these lawyers cited, okay? First, in U.S. versus Amadeo, a RICO action, the Second Circuit considered whether a portion of a report created by a court officer appointed pursuant to a consent decree.
A martini, shaken, not stirred.
How could Destiny bribe the judge this way? Justice escapes again.
now Stephen will be able to get away with even more victims. What has the judge done? Trump, replace the judge. Corey, thank you so much for the $20. Guys, donate. Show your appreciation for all the work that I've done for the past few. Who knows, however. Thank you. I appreciate the support.
Cree to investigate allegations
Oh yeah, donating on Kick will yield me the greatest results.
of corruption in a local union was improperly unsealed. Plaintiff cites Amodeo for the proposition that, quote, financial records of a wholly owned business, family affairs, embarrassing conduct with no public ramifications, and similar matters will weigh more heavily against access than conduct affecting a substantial portion of the public, end quote. Amadeo ultimately concluded the report had only a marginal relationship to the performance of Article 3 functions, as it was not filed in connection with a request for action by the district court.
I'm curious if some QE farmers are emailing the judge about Destiny, actually. Do you even need to ask?
And further, the privacy interest in question was the attorney-client privilege, which the clients had, in effect, waived by way of the consent decree. But Amadeo is inopposite. As to the point of inopposite, I think is lawyer fancy speak for, I think it says the opposite of what you wanted to say, or it's standing on the other side of what you wanted to say, right? I believe. As to the point of embarrassing conduct with no public ramifications and similar matters.
Oh yeah, guys, by the way, real quick, guys, please subscribe to my second channel. It is called Snack Markets. I just want to say subscribe to the second channel. I'm going to be uploading all my lower quality slop there. The higher quality stuff will be going onto this channel, okay? But yeah, please, Snack Markets, okay? Snack Markets, okay? Should be in the description below. Thank you.
Which we assume by process of elimination in the phraseology plaintiff was emphasizing and citing Amadeo. That is not what is before us here.
See,
and this
short?
conclusion is supported by other cases plaintiff cites.
I just let you do your thing, okay?
Chief among those other cases is U.S. v. Kravitz. In Kravitz, the First Circuit considered a journalist's appeal of a motion to unseal certain records which had been denied by the district court because the documents in question contain matters that are predominantly personal to Kravitz and there is not apparent justification for their general publication. As to the defendant's medical records, the court acknowledged its sensitivity to the fact that medical documentation may contain information beyond the...
Martini, shaken, not stirred.
I will make a Kick account soon. My apologies. Thanks for the late night streams.
Casey, thank you so much for $20. I appreciate that. Thank you.
diagnosis and treatment information that is likely to form the basis of a plea or grant of leniency, such as a history of drug use or testing for sexually transmitted diseases, and thus that the presence of such information may weigh more heavily against public access. But Kravitz also noted in remanding that subjective remarks about a patient's demeanor, character, and mental state are sometimes a part of the record. Wait, do I miss any good footnotes? One. Where was my? Oh, no. Okay. This is a quote from that case. Oh, actually, we'll read this, I guess. Leviton's claim of privacy in his medical records, however, may...
A martini, shaken, not stirred.
Since everyone is doing it.
Wait, thank you so much for $20. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. You're very kind. Yes, orange up. The super chats. Based. Thank you.
Lose some force in light of his prior publication of the information that he now seeks to protect. Remember, okay, the general claim that is made is don't be public, don't talk publicly about your case, because the reason is, especially if you're not a lawyer, and even if you are a lawyer, you don't know what you're saying publicly that might come back to bite you in the ass later on. You know, one of the big criticisms that I gave of Pxie before anything was when she published that Substack against me, she basically totally closed the door on ever reaching any kind of a settlement with me, because this is a civil case. The only thing that's going to come out of this is civil stuff. The only thing, more than you even know, the only thing that will come out of this is civil stuff, which means money. That's all that's going to cost me. So if you write a Substack and you are attacking the Academy, writing the most unhinged shit possible, well, the only thing I can lose in court is money. You've already cost me more money on your Substack. Well, now I'm never settling. What is the incentive that I ever have to settle that case? So now you've yourself there. And you got to be careful because stuff that you're publicizing, in a case where you're trying to keep everything private, is going to hurt your privacy claims and other claims you're going to make later on down the road, right? So this is not good. Don't do this. Not a good thing. But, okay. So the quote...
Yeah. I'm guessing that you can't eat, like... The thing is, I think especially when it comes to content creators, I think what people need to realize is that content creators have a lot more to lose than just a court case. The normal person cannot, like the average person is unable to comprehend this. Like, for example, you can just say, oh, you can just sue someone and keep your mouth shut, right? And just do your job and go your day to day and keep all the discussions inside of your household, right? And keep everything private. Well, that's not the case when it comes to content creators, right? When it comes to content creators, you can't have your cake and eat it too, defame somebody on the internet, and then also go on to sue them on the internet, right? Typically, when that is being done, it could entirely be the case that that's not going to be looked on favorably by the court, okay? I can't provide a guarantee because any good lawyer or any person who knows anything about law will tell you that there is no guarantee for either way, right? It could be the case that they look upon something favorably and go, well, you know, I don't think it's that big of a deal that you've said this and that, but it could also be the case that someone could say, well, no, it seems like you're trying to write a Substack and you're accusing them of all these things, and they are losing like potentially a lot of money and career impact from this, right? So the fact that you're doing this court case shows that you want the money, you want to win this court case, but at the same time, you have also punished them anyway, right? You have essentially punished them career-wise anyway. So yeah, I mean, either interpretation could be done, I guess. But
From here is the interest in privacy fade when the information involved already appears on the public record. And then this case noting that prior publicity weighs strongly against sealing.
thank you for subscribing on Kick, Corey.
If Pxie would have sued me without making that Substack first, and it would have been private, she would have had much stronger privacy claims here. But she's trying to have it both ways. She's trying to milk the cow on, I want all the publicity possible so that I can extort, blackmail, and bury Steven if I can. But I also want everything in court to be private as possible. You can't have it both ways. You have to pick. Like, yeah, you can't do that. In his public sentencing hearing, he articulated not only the full panoply of ailments from which he suffers, but also the dire predictions for his health should he fail to take immediate steps to improve his condition. So this is all about another case, okay? All right. Importantly, here, plaintiff's request that the court seal the transcript is ostensibly to protect deeply private, sexually explicit, and mental health-related testimony from being broadcast over 1 million online followers by a political streamer who has a documented pattern of weaponizing public proceedings for harassment, monetization, and spectacle. Okay, so number one, with all caps, you, okay? For you to weaponize, I'm speaking right now to Jane Doe, okay? For Jane Doe to weaponize the fuck out of her Substack, and now the court system, which it really is, which is ironic, given that she says she wants to go to law school, right? For her personal petty squabbles that are being funded by mom and dad after scamming the public for money for it, for her to weaponize all of that and then cry when I just want to read my own public filings, which is my right as a public citizen because you filed a federal lawsuit in public court about it, is crazy that I'm weaponizing public proceedings by reading them. Capital F you, okay? One, as compared to Kravitz and to the court's knowledge, the transcript does not contain any discussion about plaintiff's medical records or anything to do with plaintiff seeing or being treated by a physician or other mental health professional. So the emphasis in Kravitz that medical documentation may contain sensitive information is inapplicable here.
Doesn't she have a lot of degrees already? I have no idea. I don't know all that much about Pixie's legal background. I think that she has 2 bachelors. Yeah, but I could be wrong. I think she has 2 bachelors though. Just mainly because I think in the process of going after one bachelor, you also gain the credits for another major, and this is pretty normal when I was going to college as well, for people to be going after a comp sci degree and a math degree at the same time. Yeah, it's pretty common because it's only just like 1 or 2 classes away.
Second, plaintiff has, in several public filings, been quite forthcoming about the mental health and other effects of the events surrounding the video, and has been from the start. For instance, as to mental health, plaintiff's original and operative complaints both contain the same passages regarding her struggles. Compare, in the very first complaint, plaintiff feels increasingly humiliated, mortified, and depressed and starts feeling suicidal on or about December 11th, 2024. She starts writing suicide notes. Look, that's so cute because my birthday is December 12th. She wanted to have her extortion of me ready for my birthday. How nice. Plaintiff messages Bonnell and tells him that she is, quote, just tired of living anymore. It's a matter of time until my family discovers what happened. I feel like the best thing to do is for me to kill myself and schedule a post just detailing my feelings on what happened to try and ensure a situation like this doesn't happen again, end quote. Later on, there is a $1 million demand for money tied to this, by the way. Every retard, Kelly Jean, I'm sorry included, that's like, Destiny should have just settled with her. Destiny should have just settled this before it went to court. I am never paying $1 million out to a blackmail extortion attempt, okay? You, all right? And $1 million.
There's another reason why you don't want to settle, even if, like, let's just say you settled for less. Let's just say you settled for less to just end the torture, the legal torture that you're going through, right? Like, let's just say that. What does that say? What does that say about all future people who want to, like, maliciously extort you for money, or to maliciously go after you, or maliciously make a lawsuit, right, going after you? What does that tell them? It tells them that there is a way to win. It enables terrorism, right? Illegal terrorism, essentially, right? Because, like, let's just say that Destiny does in fact settle with $1 million, right? Well, now a future girl can accuse Destiny of X and Y, take him to court, and do the same exact thing as Pxie did to essentially go after him, right? How's that fair? How's any of that fair? It's not, right? And so it is.
Remember, the most that she's qualified for, the most she can win in this case is like 150K. That's the like statutory cap, all right? But whatever. What she sued me, by the way, the demand letter was for 15 million, but
15 million.
what, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, and the statutory cap is 250K, right?
And then 19, plaintiff tells defendant's close friend about her suicidal
Or was it 150?
thoughts that she cannot bear the humiliation and harassment she is enduring, and that she wants to ensure Bonnell never does this to her or anyone else ever again. Item 21, plaintiff continues feeling depressed and suicidal. Item 22, same as the complaint. And then here, the original plan was basically for me to commit suicide and schedule a note for after I died, detailing what Stephen had done and hoping that everybody would forever know what he did and be able to stay away from him and be able to be more wary and cautious. Again, tied with a demand for money. This is textbook extortion, by the way, but the original complaint has been live on the public docket for many months. The plaintiff.
Oh yeah, this is in fact extortion. I just want to say real quick that it is also on record that Pxie is lying, right, about the suicide thing. Because remember, if you recall, what happened? She told Straighterade that she told Straighterade that she was faking it in order to get Destiny to respond, in order to get Destiny to essentially respond back and to be very apologetic, right? So you have to keep in mind like how disgusting it is, all right, to try to lure him to do that. That is nuts, okay? And you know what? For as much of a betrayer Straighterade is, for as disgusting as Straighterade is, for as bad as Straighterade is, that is the ultimate silver lining of her betrayal, is the fact that we get to find out that Pxie is in fact faking that suicide shit, okay? That she wasn't actually planning on killing herself. And if she did, it would be with ulterior motives.
Perhaps added additional characterizing details, for example, support from her friends, or more emphasis on why she experienced such thoughts during the June 3rd, 2025 hearing.
Because again, it could entirely be plausible that she was in fact suicidal, but that doesn't matter because you admitted to someone that you're doing it to get his attention. You're doing it for ulterior motives. My sympathy for you goes out the window, okay?
Does not change the fact that the information has already been made publicly available through plaintiff's own filings. What's more, the transcript is one of a public hearing. So plaintiff had not only published this information in her earlier pleadings, but also was, in the moment, speaking in a public forum. And then footnote 3, and as to things of a deeply private or sexually explicit nature, plaintiff has not raised any specific elements of the transcript in her argument. But it merits noting that she has also long publicly stated many of these allegations and or included similar factual information in her briefing. Compare in the complaint allegations regarding plaintiff's prior relationship experience with, docket item 90, testimony regarding plaintiff's prior relationship experience and perception of defendant prior to their sexual encounter, and then in docket number 21, unsworn statement of Miss Brooke recounting allegedly receiving messages of a sexual nature from defendant. Basically, you're adding all this stuff to your court filings and it's undercutting your argument that you want stuff to be sealed or private, which is, again, a thing I've said over and over again. And relatedly, another of plaintiff's cited cases, Prospero versus Prescott, is similarly unavailing. Prospero, typo. That's okay. We love our judge, even if he makes typos. He's a king. Prospero regards a motion to exclude expert testimony where defendants argued that didn't happen. Sorry, hello?
They'll have to focus on the Rose stuff? No, they don't have to focus on the Rose stuff. This case was never about Rose in the first place.
I don't know why that just happened. Hello? Okay, weird.
What are you doing?
Okay, mic glitch there.
Nice, good one, Steven. Moron.
Prospero regards a motion to exclude expert testimony where defendant argued that certain of the information in the expert's testimony, including content from a treating physician's deposition, was designated confidential under the existing protective order. At the time of the hearing, there was no existing protective order, save a recently filed unright motion for protective order governing discovery. Order granting in part, motion for protective order, governing discovery, detailing breakdown of communications. So this is basically saying we had the hearing, there was no protective order in place. Like, what do you, like, hello? Yeah. But even then, and none of the protective orders regarding discovery, not plaintiff's draft, not defendant's draft, and not the final version entered by the court, are designed to shield in its entirety a public court transcript, nor should they be, because this is public court. We're here for, this is a public court filing, okay? Where were we? Footnote 4 was plaintiff's last mainstay case as to the nature of the material discussed is also inapt. This is a 2001 case they cited. This regards a petition filed in the public docket in contravention of 2 federal statutes that plainly prohibit the FEC from disclosing information concerning ongoing investigations under any circumstances without the written consent of the subject of the investigation. So they're just trying to make all these arguments like, well, look, it was sealed here, but like I'm guessing in this case, well, no, this was sealed because it was an ongoing investigation by the FEC or something, right? And then for footnote 5, plaintiff has also filed a motion for protective order governing public commentary by trial participants, but that regards public extrajudicial statements, so we will not address it for the purpose of deciding on plaintiff's motion to seal the transcript. Okay. Protective orders until Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 26C minimize abuse of the discovery process. By the way, an abuse of the discovery process might be including fake or damning material in your filings that have nothing to do with your court case, but are just trying to slander or defame defendant.
Yes, the Rose stuff. He's talking about the Rose stuff. Because that was an attempt to have it on record, even though it was like the most forced portion of the entire thing, where you're trying to include irrelevant material for the sake of defaming someone in a public court filing. In a legal court filing, right? Fuck that shit. That shit is stupid and moronic and malicious and evil. Okay? That shit is heinous. Putrid, even.
Just saying, just randomly putting that out there, you know? Maybe. That might be abuse of the discovery process. Maybe. Now, you know, that's not my call to make, but...
Just goes to show she's trying to maximize punishment and using the court to do that.
Because parties often resist the exchange of confidential information, parties regularly agree, and courts often agree, that discovery information will remain private. This is because while there is no question that the press and the public jointly possess a common law right to inspect and copy judicial records and public documents, private documents collected during discovery are not judicial records. Thus, the common law right of access does not extend to information collected through discovery, which is not a matter of public record. So what this means is that, like, so me and her, well, only me, because they haven't given me anything, but in discovery, you're supposed to trade information to the other parties so that they can build their case and figure out what to do. That's not necessarily public information until it shows up like in a court filing somewhere, right? On June 3rd.
Yeah, I actually think the way that the American judicial system does things is actually epic. The fact that both lawyer teams have to work together to resolve the lawsuit is actually one of the best fucking things I have ever heard. Yeah, they're trying to win the case, obviously, but the fact that they have to, like, you're essentially forced to trade information and work together. Like, that's a really good thing, okay? Because there is no surprises that come if a case goes to trial. If a case goes to trial, then it's pretty good that, you know, there's no surprises, right? That everything has already been laid bare and you'll have all the time and effort that you need in order to prepare for your case or prepare it in front of the judge and jury, right? So the thing is that, like, unlike in courtroom movies where it seems like there's always some kind of last minute piece of evidence that is being handed forward, or some kind of last minute piece of crazy shit that, like, a person comes running in screaming, oh yeah, right? It's good that everything is laid bare, right? But, you know, when you don't practice that, I guess, in good faith, I think it can be pretty obvious what's going on, right?
2025, As of the June 3rd, 2025 hearing, the parties had apparently agreed to freeze discovery pending the court's ruling on plaintiff's motion for protective order governing discovery. While there was an unright motion on the docket, there was no entered protective order governing discovery or any confidential information as of the June 3rd, 2025 hearing. So there was no discovery information that at the time could have been seen as having been designated as confidential under such an order. The transcript also does not reflect any inadvertent references to plaintiff's name or particular identifying information that could cause her to be personally identified. They lied when they said that, as evidenced by the fact that there are no objections or other expressed concerns to that effect. The court allowing the use of Jane Doe for confidentiality at hearing and clarifying for plaintiff that she need not say her name at the hearing beyond Jane Doe, meaning that during the hearing we were being careful not to reveal somebody's name so that we wouldn't run into this issue. And though we disagree with plaintiff that any of her testimony at the hearing would be considered medical or treatment related in nature sufficient to merit a privacy claim, even that information which plaintiff alleges was private could already, at that point, be found in briefing on the public docket. Plus, again, the June 3rd, 2025 hearing was public. Plaintiff's showing of good cause to seal the entire transcript thus falters. Though we agree that the entire case here is by its very nature sensitive, a federal judicial action has now been filed that, absent a compelling and specific showing, is now a matter of public record. Meaning, you wanted to file in big boy court, so now we are at court. This is public now. You don't get to hide and make everything private and anonymous and redacted and sealed. We're in public, okay?
Yeah, that stuff is excessively gay. I've said this time and time again. Yeah. Trying to hide privately while trying to defame your opponent is crazy work, okay? It's crazy work. I think that it's just, if you're trying to ruin another person's life, you can try to do that. I'm not inherently opposed to you trying to ruin someone's life, okay? You feel as though someone is heinous enough for their life to be ruined in some manner by destroying their career or by destroying their livelihood or taking their money, feel free to do so. In fact, that is literally what the court is for, okay? Because some courts are so devastating that, yeah, a single case ruling can totally ruin your life. Absolutely, right? Where you're forced to pay some huge amount and you're unable to pay the debt, and then interest starts to build up when you're trying to pay off the court shit, and it's over for you, right? Well, if you're gonna do that, that's fine, but I don't think you have a right to privacy anymore. I don't think so. I don't think you should have a right to privacy. And I've said this time and time again as well, okay? I don't think you should have a right to privacy when you're trying to ruin someone's life. When you're trying to go after someone's job, I don't think you should have a right to privacy. In fact, it is morally good. It is morally good that if you're trying to ruin someone's life, that your information be already out in the public. That's been my position before Erudite adopted my position. So I just want to say that, all right? You're welcome. Boom.
Accordingly, plaintiff's motion to seal the entire transcript must be denied as good cause of a compelling.
Also, dude, it's such a wuss thing to do. Bro, these a bunch of redneck hicks don't give a fuck about privacy when they're beefing at each other on Facebook about politics, okay? When they're talking about oh yeah, did Emma fuck my husband Mark last night? Bro, nobody gives a single flying fuck. Okay? People are bro, I literally live in the trailer next door. Let's fucking fist. Let's fucking do it. Let's throw fisticuffs, okay? You live right next door, all right? We're gonna throw hands. One of us is gonna die tonight. Literally, this is what they do, okay? I'm sorry. If you're gonna be, trying to go after someone on Facebook, right? Everything is out in the open. All the names and locations are out in the open, unless you have some kind of fake account for whatever reason, but most normal people do not, right? Or you have fake information of some kind, but most normal people do not, right? Once again. So the thing is that if you be on Facebook, yeah, bro, you're gonna be throwing fisticuffs with your neighbor Mark. Yes, you are, and that's epic and based, okay? Both lives on the line, both men with everything to lose. Everything on the line, including their manhood and their wives, okay? That's based, okay? But that's just a world of taking everything from somebody, right? That's just how it works. That's how it works. You can't just simply you can't just simply decide, oh yeah, I'm gonna have my cake and eat it too now, right? That's retarded and stupid and shouldn't happen, right? It doesn't matter if you're like some nobody, right? It doesn't matter. This guy's named Stephen Kenneth Bennell II, okay? He works in streaming as an industry. Everyone knows everything about this guy, okay? From the beginning of his birth to now. From his career as a carpet cleaner to now, all right? To StarCraft, competitive StarCraft, to everything, okay? You can't just sit here and say, yeah, I'm going to try to ruin this guy's life, okay, this public figure. Meanwhile, I'm going to hide behind Jane Doe. That's retarded. Absolutely heinous and retarded, okay? And it's kind of funny as well because you don't hide you don't hide the identities of any of the other names that you're using. You don't hide the identity of Melina when you're trying to subpoena her overseas. Absolutely disgusting behavior, by the way. Okay. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
And specific nature has not been persuasively shown. Conclusion: for the foregoing reasons, plaintiff's motion to seal is denied. Okay. Now we have lay hearing. I won't comment on this. We'll just read it down.
All I'm gonna say is that if Mark and Samuel can go at it like in the fucking like in between the two trailer like park things parked to each other, and they're trying to call each other out for cheating on Facebook, if they can like fight fisticuffs with one another, okay, I am a feminist, okay. I say that women deserve equal rights, okay? That also means that women deserve equal fights, all right? If you want to play on the same playing field as men, okay, you need to be able to fight like a man, all right? You need to man up, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, all right? And stop being such a girl. Ew. And start actually acting like a man. Loser.
I'm going to give you my thoughts as we go through. Destiny, reply to The Hague as well as Up. They say you waived your right in a meet and confer because of an email. It's a joke. I'm so happy. Every time the judge writes on this, I'm just so happy.
Exactly. These fists are rated E for everyone, okay? Nintendo DS. Switch. Bap. Okay, $80, pay up.
So happy. Bep, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. This hearing was just so wacky, dudes. Destiny, has she said anything new about this whole thing? No, once I started going harder accusing her of scamming everybody on her Give Send Go, she blocked me again on Twitter.
Nice, good one.
They're still trying to go with the Hague shit? Yeah, it's not Hague, it's Hagel Mary. Get it? Stop. But yeah, these are like Hail Marys. Ignore that last pun. Okay. Can you clarify your vague post? Nope. But it'll start showing up soon. And there's some stuff that's been in these filings that will never show up again. But I can't say much more. We'll see. I have to wait. I will say that all of it,
getting my ass
there are a whole lot
kicked.
of people who should be unbelievably ashamed of themselves. But we'll get there. Okay. So the following procedures were held. Okay. This is our court hearing from June 3rd this year. The Deputy Clerk, the United States District Court, is now in session. The Honorable Edwin G. Torres presiding, calling case Doe Bonnell, case number, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What was this hearing in regard to? This is our preliminary injunction hearing. Counsel, please state your appearance, starting with the plaintiff. Mr. Lage, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but this is Pxie's lawyer. Joan Peters did not show up for this hearing. I don't know why, but... Good morning, Your Honor. Gus Lage, Carlos Garcia Perez, law clerk, Miss Garcia, and the plaintiff, Jane Doe, is present. Mr. Raskopf, good morning, Your Honor. Bob Raskopf.
Bro, absolute cinema is about to drop on God, okay? I'm ready. I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. I've got no clue. Okay? No idea. Alright, except for some. I will not specify. Thank you.
Raskoff from the Bilzen-Sumberg firm, along with my colleague Patricia Patino, and our lead counsel from Los Angeles is Andrew Bretler from Burke Bretler. So for court stuff, in order for you to appear at the venue, you can't be from another state. Like somebody from California can't practice law in Florida unless they're licensed down there. However, if you get a law firm to sponsor you, what the law firm can do is have you file it's a pro hac vice filing saying, I would like to appear down here, and then this other local law firm is sponsoring my appearance here. So the lead counsel on my case is the Bretler law firm from California, and then Raskoff and his law firm are the Florida-based law firm that's allowing them to come in, basically, right? Okay. Please do voices? No.
No. Why?
Destiny, I'm begging you to actually research narcissistic abuse strategies. Your life will be so much better. Is that for me? I saw that some people are now claiming that I'm a narcissist. Okay, thank you. I love my psychoanalyzers.
By the way, claiming someone is a narcissist is just completely so stupid. Because what if I told you guys that narcissism is a scale? What if I told you narcissism is a range of numbers? Would you guys believe me? Because to call someone a narcissist, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, okay? Are you talking about, like, where are they? 5.0, 6.0, 7.0 out of 10? Like what scale of a narcissist is it? Because literally everybody has some degree of narcissism inside themselves. Even the least narcissistic, most carpet motherfucker always have a little bit of narcissism inside of them, okay? When you call someone okay, listen, okay? I'm not gonna be cringe when someone says, oh, he's just a narcissist, right? I'm not gonna be like, excuse me, what do you actually mean? I don't actually mean that, okay? I mean, if you're armchair diagnosing or something like that, I'm sorry, that's cringe, okay? Yeah. But typically when someone says that someone is like a actual narcissist or something, like they're like an 8 or a 7 at the very least. That's what they actually mean. Okay?
Can you explain, like I'm 5, what a preliminary injunction is? So a preliminary injunction, an injunction means that you're enjoining or stopping a party from engaging in certain behavior, future behavior. Preliminary injunction is before the trial has happened, you're, in an extraordinary measure, you're asking the court to step in and stop somebody from doing some actions, to enjoin them from some behavior. But that's an extraordinary step, right? You're seeing a lot of TROs, temporary restraining orders, and preliminary injunctions right now in regards to the Trump administration, right? Yeah. Okay.
It's a spectrum. Exactly. It's like mental retardation and autism. Okay? Wait, hold on. Sorry. It's like autism. It's like a spectrum.
Good morning, Your Honor. Okay, this is my lawyer, the Giga Chad. Okay. Good morning, Your Honor. Andrew Bretler from Burke Bretler. We're also joined by Mr. Bonnell, our client. The court. Anytime it says the court, I believe that's the judge speaking. Good morning. Everybody have a seat. There's a preliminary injunction hearing that was referred to me for disposition by Judge Becerra. I took a look at it and decided that I couldn't resolve it without probably hearing additional evidence or response from the parties. So that's why I scheduled a hearing when I did. So I appreciate everyone's cooperation. I think I scheduled it on Friday, short notice, so I appreciate everybody accommodating it to get the matter resolved. So let me turn to counsel for the plaintiff and tell me what witnesses, if any, you wish to call. Mr. Ledge stands up, Pxie's lawyer. Your Honor, at this time, if Your Honor needs us to get further information, we would call the plaintiff and we would also call the defendant. Now, keep in mind that for the first time yesterday, right, the day before this, they added Abby to the case. Now, she didn't show up, obviously, but I believe it was the day before is when they threw on her statements saying that I'd sent her videos of Pxie. Never have. This is bullshit. There's a reason why she's dodging subpoenas and why they've offered no evidence of this, but this was the day before they had added her, so obviously she's not here or anything, but okay.
What can you do?
And Destiny, amateur detractors are narcissists. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I don't think Pxie's a narcissist. I don't think any of the people involved in this are narcissists. Okay, so Pxie's lawyer. Your Honor, at this time, if Your Honor needs us to get further information, we would call the plaintiff. We would also call the defendant. The judge, okay, on behalf of the defendant, Andrew, we would call the defendant, Your Honor. The judge says, okay. So why don't we do that? Why don't we take we don't have to take all day for it, just because I've already reviewed the affidavit you filed in support and the declarations and the supplemental declarations. But I think it would be useful to get some of the information clarified on the record. So go ahead and call then. Let you direct your client. Pxie's lawyer, Mr. Lage? Zepsip put it in chat, how you pronounce it. Your Honor, in order to make this as efficient as possible, if there's areas of inquiry that you wish us to address, I'm happy to do so. The judge. In particular, I guess the issue is, one of the issues that I have is when did she become aware of the problem and what occurred in the interim between that awareness and when the lawsuit was filed? So remember, it's like Lage, like Gague. Am I supposed to know how you pronounce that? Geju?
What?
Okay, that didn't help at all, but thanks. Okay. Oh, Gage. Lage and Gage. Oh, you just spelled Gage incorrectly. Yeah. Okay. The reason why the judge, do I need to explain why they're asking questions? I don't know how much, I feel like I've explained this a lot. I don't know how many people understand everything by now. The reason why he's asking is because if you're filing a TRO or a preliminary injunction, the reason why you're filing these things is because you're saying, like, this is an emergency. I need the court to step in right now, because at the end of the day, our civil courts are courts of equitable relief, is the way you say it, right? Basically, the court is here to make you whole again after a bad thing has happened. But if there's an ongoing thing, sometimes these ongoing things will cause irreparable harm. That's one of your qualifiers for having a preliminary injunction, is you have to show that the harm that's going to be caused, if the defendant is allowed to continue to...
Yeah, TRO restraining order, right? And what does the T stand for? Oh yeah, temporary restraining order. Okay, yeah. Like what I'm guessing, if I were to guess what a TRO is used for, is that it's used for like physical abuse, right? Or maybe verbal, like immediate abuse, like if you're like under the same roof, I'm guessing. A victim can obtain a TRO to prevent an abuser from contacting, approaching, or harming them. This can also include ordering an abuser to move out of a shared residence. True. So this is a TRO is like if you have a stalker, okay? If you have a stalker, or you have someone who is under the same roof, all right? You're suing somebody under the same roof, all right? Like for a married couple or something, right? Or maybe a divorcing couple, all right? That's what a restraining order is for, okay? Obviously, this is retarded, considering how they filed this like months down the line, I think. Because you're supposed to file TRO immediately. Like if you're in danger, like, and you're actually doing it in a good faith way, like typically it's like within the first week, right? If you're thinking of a restraining order, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. TRO, temporary restraining order.
Act in the way that he is so bad that the court can't help me. So like an example of this might be, let's say me and somebody else recorded a porn video and I'm going to publish it and I want to publish it. And they're saying, no, I don't want that person to publish it, but I haven't published it yet. Okay. If I haven't published it yet and I'm going to, you might file like a
TROs are technically more broad than that, but the idea is that the person needs to have reason to fear irreparable harm. Sure. Yeah.
TRO or a preliminary injunction saying he can't be allowed to publish this while we do the court case, because let's say that he publishes it and then we do the court case. Well, no, I can't, like, you can pay me money, but I don't ever want this out there. This is irreparable harm. Like, there's no way, So that would be like an example there. And you can think of other things too, but basically anything that would make the court incapable of resolving an issue or making somebody whole, a party whole again.
That's what a TRO is.
Dispute or claim.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it now, bitch.
Her lawyer says, very well, Your Honor. At this time, we would call Jane Doe to the stand. The judge says, okay. The deputy clerk requests, please state your full name and spell your last name for the record, please. Her lawyer says, Your Honor, for purposes of confidentiality, can we continue to refer to her as Jane Doe? The judge says, yes, for the purposes of this hearing, that's fine. Her lawyer says, very well, thank you. Pxie says, sorry to clarify, do I say my real name now? The judge says, no, the court reporter will know. Pxie says, Jane Doe. The judge says, thank you. Thereupon, Jane Doe, having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. Direct examination means that your own lawyer is asking you questions. A cross-examination is when the opposing counsel lawyer is asking you questions. Okay, so this is direct examination. Her lawyer is asking her questions to get stuff on the record. Okay?
Sure.
So her lawyer, Miss Doe, do you know the defendant? Yes. And how is it that you know the defendant? He was my friend for around 5 or 6 years. Okay, where is it that you first met the defendant? I first met him in Florida, but I knew about him online beforehand. We had a couple of debates and conversations privately. When we're speaking about the defendant, who is the defendant? Stephen Kenneth Bonnell, Destiny. So this is her first lie. I am Stephen Kenneth Bonnell the second. My dad is Stephen Kenneth Bonnell. Okay, just saying. Just kidding. That's not that important, but
It's not, but whatever.
okay.
Sure.
Can you point
why
him
not?
out for us, please? Yeah, the individual with the banging blue suit and amazingly fluffy curly brown hair.
Wait, how much did Steven spend on the suit? How much thousands of dollars did he spend? Bro, did you actually spend that much? Like $700 or something? $7,000? Was it $2,000? It's a luxury suit, right? I mean, it looks really good. Like, I will say it looks really good, but like, how much did he spend? Bro, I think at least 2K. Yeah, fuck that shit. Fuck that. Fuck that. Dude, I would never pay. Bro, fuck that. Nah, fuck that shit. Okay? Fuck that shit. I would never pay 2K for. That's crazy. Oh my god. Okay,
Yes,
whatever.
that is me.
You
True.
do.
And as a result of your conversations with Mr. Bonnell, did you at some point have an intimate relationship with Mr. Bonnell? Yes. All right. Was that? Where did that intimate rendezvous take place? In Miami, Florida. And what was the date of that rendezvous? I believe it was around September of what year? 2020 or 2021?
Yes, you would. No, I wouldn't.
Okay. I just want to say on a personal matter, okay? So I was incredibly stressed for this hearing. Just I've never obviously done a court hearing before. I always didn't want to screw
of
anything up.
course.
Okay. I read all of my declarations. I reread tons of our chat logs. I went over so much info for this so that I was ready. The fact that she shows up and doesn't know anything about what the we're in court for. How do you not know the date that we met? This is all information.
Why not a good suit you'll wear for multiple events? Yeah, but that's just not, like, in my opinion. Okay, listen. All right, if you want to buy it, if you want to do that, you do you, okay? But when I say fuck that, I mean just for myself, okay? I don't care how rich I am, okay? I don't care that I can spend my money on multiple of these suits, okay? I'm not doing that, okay? I'm sorry. The maximum I would ever pay for something that looks really, really nice, of really, really good make, would probably be $300, okay? For clothing. We're talking about clothing, okay? But like designer jackets that are like $5,000, fuck that shit, dude. Here's the thing, okay? If I had to spend $2,000 on clothing, it would be one of these like fucking cool ass cyberpunk looking jackets, okay? I would 100% buy this shit. If someone says, okay, you can only spend this $2,000 if you spend it on one piece of clothing, then yeah, of course. I'm gonna be like, okay, custom tailor, cool as fuck. Hell yeah, okay? But yeah.
You still have this in your DMs. I can't delete your side of it. I just want to say that triggered the fuck out of me, but whatever. Yeah, if it's all a joke to her, okay, I guess. The judge says, so her lawyer was going to ask another question leading up to, and then the judge intervenes and he says, when did you first meet or talk with Mr. Bonnell? And then Pxie says, posture? No. Pxie says, I talked to him. I started around 2020. I had just transferred universities and I was like lonely. So I was like, I'm going to live stream and see if I can make friends.
Be right back. Being as rich as Destiny with a suit fitting like a poor prom kid ain't it? But that's not true. That's not true. Prom kids look really good and they only spend like $400. Pause. Why did I say that? Now that's going to be clipped. It's over.
That way. And because my family is inherently very political, I started talking politics and then connected with Mr. Bonnell. And then her lawyer asks, leading up to your intimate rendezvous with Mr. Bonnell, had you had conversations or messaging in relation to that upcoming rendezvous? Pxie says, yeah, we talked about it beforehand. We had a lot of conversations about consent and the importance of consent.
Okay.
I was not super sexually experienced, so I was very afraid of, like, accidentally leading somebody on or getting sexually assaulted. So we had a bunch of conversations about consent beforehand. Okay. Well, when you say that you had conversations about consent, did you have conversations about consent relating to dissemination of information relating to your rendezvous? Well, I told him ahead of time that I wanted to keep things really private. I didn't want people in general to know about our sexual encounter, that I didn't want that information to be, like, out in public, stuff like that. Okay. I mean, it's all we've already done this here. I don't care about this anymore. I don't care about this, guys. In terms of whether, but I will say that like, if I was her lawyer going into this, okay. So there's two things. One, when you're being asked to do a deposition to give testimony, don't speculate. If you don't know the answer to a thing, then don't answer. Okay, number one. Number two, answer only what you're asked. Don't give a whole bunch more information, because at the end of the day, all it can do is hurt you, right? Because the opposing counsel is going to be looking for anything that you say that can be used to impeach your character, to a contradiction, something else to question what you're saying, right? Okay, number two. Now I would say number three, I don't think this should matter as much. You should keep it in mind, but as long as you're not lying.
This woman wants to be a lawyer, by the way. Can you just imagine, like, when she is, like, representing her first client at a court case, she's like, Your Honor, like, my client, like, she hasn't done anything wrong. Like, can you just, like, like, let her go or something? Like, I mean, do we have to be that strict? Like, bro. Oh my god. Put her up as the prosecutor. All of them go free.
It shouldn't matter. Okay. But number three, if you are going to court for a claim, you need to be locked in on what that claim is. And you need to very clearly state what you think the violation of that claim was every single time. One thing you'll notice is that, so if now you can't tell your client to say this, but if I was going to testify, okay, to a thing where I think the other person did like a crime or a bad action against me, I would be crystal clear every single time.
I'm so curious about what Destiny has found out about Rose that he says he'll be revealing in a couple weeks or months. He's been teasing some new info that will clear his name. Okay, all right. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, his name is already cleared to me, okay? I don't know why people are saying that, oh yeah, like, oh, he has to clear his name for, like, the whole Rose shit. The Rose shit is so fucking stupid, you have no idea, okay? All of that is gay and retarded, alright? Just mainly because, for the Rose shit, there is literally a log going back all the way back saying that he literally said, oh yeah, I know that you're 19, okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, past that, nothing ever matters. Okay, that's it. That's all you need to look at, literally. Okay, past that, nothing else matters. If assuming that the DM isn't fabricated, assuming the exchange isn't made up or anything like that, the fact that it says, "Oh yeah, I know that you're 19," blah blah blah. Okay, that doesn't matter. Okay, because we're talking about whether or not Destiny is a predator, right? We're talking about whether or not Destiny was going after underage people on purpose, right? How retarded do you have to be? Like, I'm sorry. Like, dude, like, as far as I'm concerned, there's no case in the first place. Okay? But yeah, fine. We'll take a look. We'll see what in the future there is. Okay? But I just want to say, again, that is retarded. Okay? Retarded, gay, and retarded, and homosexual, and retarded, and gay, and retarded, and homosexual, and gay and retarded. Okay?
Time.
Okay.
I never wanted any of this shared with anybody. I did not want my video shared with anybody. I never gave permission to share this with anybody. That would be my claim every single.
No, I know it's about, like, I know it's for everyone else, but I'm just saying, like, the people who already hate Destiny will always hate him. Like, I feel like that's just straight up not going to change. Like, I don't think that's going to change whatsoever. Yeah. Meow. Wow.
Time. Okay? You don't want to skirt around this language, because this is the sole claim that you have in federal court, and this should be the most important part of your case. Just saying. Keep that in mind, okay? I didn't want that information to be like out in public, stuff like that. The lawyer said, why? She said, his community, and not just his community, but to be fair, the internet can be like a really vicious place. And I didn't want people to claim that, like, oh, he was only being nice to me because he wanted to sleep with me. Because we would debate online politically, so we would go back and forth on subjects. And I didn't want people to just claim, like, oh no,
That's true, but they will mauled if Destiny has wait, what? Whatever happened to betraying Destiny? Is that still on the menu? Oh, I'll do that when. Oh, dude, I'll do that when the case is over. Okay. Yeah. I'll betray him once the case is over. I promise you it's coming. Okay. 500 kick points. Thank you. That's true. But they will mauled if Destiny removes their ability to call him a pedo. Lol, I think J-Stuck and the anti-fans would actually delete themselves. No, they just create some new cope.
he's just being nice to
we've literally already seen how shameless they can be, right? Like it's just completely and utterly shameless. It's the most shameless thing that like I've ever seen. So yeah.
You for that instead of like evaluating my arguments on the merits of what they are. Then the judge interrupts and the judge says, now, what do you mean about his community? Pxie says, he's a live streamer, so he has a large platform of a lot of followers. They refer to themselves as DGG. The judge says, as what? She says, DGG. That's their community name. The judge says, DGG? You mean like Yi wins? No, I'm just kidding. Judge says, DGG? She says, yes. And there are people who follow him, who really agree with his ideas, thinks he's like super cool, and yeah, try to support him and his endeavors. And then her lawyer says, well, when we're talking about the size of that community, how big is the community that follows Mr. Bonnell? She says, well, he has over 840,000 subscribers on YouTube, and that's just one of his platforms. How many platforms is Mr. Bonnell on that you're aware of? He's on Kick, Instagram, YouTube, and I think he's doing TikTok as well. Do you have any knowledge as to whether streaming is the main source of revenue for Mr. Bonnell? Yeah, and I'm under the impression that live streaming is his main source of revenue. Now, what happened at the encounter? Was it recorded? Parts of it were recorded, so it wasn't the entire thing. There were like a couple of small videos that were recorded. Did you allow him to record it? Yeah. All right. Did you have conversations about what he could do with those recordings? Yeah. And what were those conversations about? Well, I told him when, like, we did it, like, you know, like, don't send this around to people, you know, like, this is, like, private. Yeah. Now, again, this is incredibly imprecise language for this. Why? What do we... Holy fuck. I was so happy listening to her talk. Oh my god. Anyway, okay.
Nice.
And what did he tell you? And then the judge intervenes. Now, I want to give you some perspective, okay, in case this judge ever seems mean, okay? I just want to give you perspective. If you read any cases like this, okay, if you read any cases like this, the defendants are unhinged men that are crazy. It'll be like, this girl broke up with me, so I sent videos of me coming in her face to all of her family members, all of her coworkers. I posted them online on porn websites. The defendants are, or like I recorded her, she didn't even know it, and then I started sending it to her new boyfriend. That's like the types of people that are normally defendants in these cases. So in terms of like what you're seeing in this case, and the judge, you'll watch the judge start to realize more and more of this, I'm a pretty atypical case, right? My stuff got posted against my will, against my consent, out into the public. I didn't want any of this posted. All of our videos were recorded consensually. We talked about sharing them beforehand, right? This is a very atypical case, and you'll see the judge. Okay, kind of talk about this. So, well, I told him when, like, we did it, like, you know, like, don't send this around.
Okay, this shit is so stupid. I swear to God, dude. This is even worse than what I thought. Like, this is actually, like, bottom of the barrel. Absolute cinema, bottom of the barrel type oh my god. Dude. Bro, no wonder you don't want this to be released. This is, like, shameful behavior, okay? You cannot lead the retarded horse to the water, okay? The water does not understand it can lead itself to the retarded horse. The retarded horse do not understand what the water look like. You gotta lead. You cannot lead the retarded horse to the water. You must gather the water yourself and bring it to the horse. That's what I've been saying, okay? Man with one chopstick go hungry. Sorry, I'm reading a lot of... Dude. Sorry, this is so stupid.
Around to people, you know, like, this is, like, private, yeah? Also, keep in mind here, she doesn't mention whether or not I could send it to Melina, my wife.
Just a drink.
And then her lawyer asks,
Shaken, not stirred.
Free the regarded horse.
True. Thank you so much for the 20 Australian. Thank you. Adriana is still in court with Miss, though, to be fair. I think it's the second court case, right? So she got the first case. I believe she got the first case dismissed, but the second is still ongoing, right? Hey, thanks for the 10 kick points. Do you think that Pixie's team has already contacted Rose, but she doesn't have any grudge against Destiny, only with Rose. Well, if you subpoena her, she has to respond, right? But I think the key here is that Rose does not want to cooperate. Does not want to collaborate with Pxie. It seems like she doesn't want to, because the thing is that, like, why the fuck would you need to subpoena someone if they're willing to collaborate, right? So chances are Rose wants to put this all behind her, right? Like, chances are that she doesn't want anything to do with this because this is way too high profile for her, and she probably just wants to live her life. But what it seems like to me is that, yeah, she doesn't want anything to do with this. That's why she had to be subpoenaed.
And what did he tell you? And then the judge interrupts for a moment. The judge says, why would you allow him to record you? And then she says, so we were talking about it like ahead of time, mentioned it like that could be something that was like hot, I guess. I don't know. I mentioned, what is it? Wanting to show it to this is so embarrassing to talk about. I'm so sorry. Give me a second. I remember I told him like, oh, when it came to like the sharing, like, is it like, sorry, I'm like, to show it to like the person that I was like currently in love with and stuff like that. He even expressed like, oh, what if that person like shares it around? And I was like, oh no, like, don't worry. Like, we'll make sure that it's like very limited. Like, it could just be my face. I trusted that he wouldn't send it around because we had so many conversations about consent and how I didn't want anybody else to know that we were sexual. You know, it was a stupid decision.
There's no way this is real. There's no way. This is a fake transcript, right? There's absolutely no way this is real. What is this? What is going on? Like, way to go on making it harder for the judge, I guess. Like, like, did you want this? Did you want to make it harder for the judge? Was that your plan all along, was to make it harder for the judge to process what the fuck you're saying? It has to be on purpose. Nah. Pxie has to be doing it on purpose. Is that is that how Pxie usually talks? I forgot. It's been a while.
Why would you say it was a stupid decision? That is putting the onus on you. Looking back at it, it was very dumb of me to do, but I was also, I believe, 20 around the time. You were 21. How do you not know your age? All of this is a matter of our records. You can check. I only had one partner before him, and I really just, like, I thought I could trust him. I thought, okay, this isn't going to spread around. He's not going to do anything like that. We literally talked about this for hours before, about consent and the importance. So I just thought that it was, like, safe and that it would be okay, and that was dumb. Okay. So the reason why I liked hearing her talk about this so much was because, if I'm being totally honest, I don't remember, okay, 100%, technically I shouldn't say this, but at this point, okay, I don't remember 100% conversations that I have in person with every single person, but I remember the gist of them, and I know, like, how they tend to go, right? So if I'm talking to a girl, and I've said this before, I'm talking to a girl, and, you know, we're talking about recording stuff, and she says something like, oof, like, if this ever leaked, I don't know, man, I think it would be over for me.
I feel like, don't you have to be, like, can't you at least, like, practice talking? I feel like if you're going to be in front of a court, right? And this is also required for streaming. You have to be a good speaker. You have to be a good articulator. You have to be good at not saying too much, and then saying very little. Like, I said, like, fuck me. Now I'm going to be self-conscious whenever I say like, but then I know that I'm not going to say it as much as Pxie, so I'm okay with that.
I would be so embarrassed. If somebody says something like that, I'm like, okay, we just won't record anything. It's not worth it. Or if you want to record, you can have it on your phone, you know? My recollection would have been at the time for Pxie was essentially what she's saying here. Like, don't publish it publicly. Don't send it to every person you know, but it's like a relative...
Man who scratch ass should not bite the fingernails. Likewise, Pxie who has not the speech skills should not go to the law school.
Relatively small thing, you know? I had my wife at the time. She had her boyfriend at the time. I'd shown her videos of me and other people. This is basically this is our kind of arrangement that we've spoken about. And here, whether it was due to the imprecision of your language or...
I got a bunch of Chinese proverbs pulled up, okay? Don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me too hard, okay? I just got like a bunch of Chinese proverbs pulled up, okay? All right, okay.
She was distressed. She basically gives that same answer. And another huge issue here is that she labels her own decision-making as dumb. This is supposed to be my fault, not her making a dumb decision. So it's just a bad approach to this, in my opinion, but, who am I?
Truly, this is
And then the judge says,
darkest dungeon.
Brandon, thank you so much for your cute gift of subs. You're very kind. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
apart from your encounter, had you ever seen
Pixie did pretty decent on Fresh and Fit, to be honest. Yeah, but it's not a courtroom. Like, that's not a courtroom. That's not a legal place.
anything on his, what do you call them,
Although, not
live streams or streams that was sexual in nature? She says he did talk about like personal relationships before. So this is another thing. He was in an open relationship with his partner Melina at the time, and he had like he would talk on stream about like the importance of like boundaries and consent, and how you have to like listen to your partners and be aware and smart about that stuff. So, and he also presents himself as like, leftist, liberal, like cares about women's rights, thinks about those things are important, respecting women. So all that information I had at the time where I made that decision was, oh, this guy really respects women. He really cares about consent. He really, he's very aware sexually about boundaries and stuff like that. Like, there's no way that he's going to betray all those values. Like, that's kind of a mean thing to do such a thing. So that's what my impression was at the time. So she's trying like really hard to play this stupid PR game of, oh, he's a leftist liberal.
Man with the retarded, man who is the retarded, have many words, but say very little. Smart man, always have less words, but say a lot. Keep your words tiny, please.
Liberal who betrayed his values. This is for the Substack, honey, not for when you're trying to give accurate
Did he say? Oh, he said honey. Never mind.
testimony, deposition. But again, what do I know? Maybe I'm. Her attorney asks, had he ever made any commentaries prior to your encounter about indicating that the posting of explicit materials is one of the worst things that you could do to someone? Her response, he definitely said that on the stream. I don't think that was before the encounter, but that was after the encounter. He had live streams where, these topics would come up because he's a political live streamer. So the topic would come up about, oh, what do you think about consent and doing this or that? And he did indicate on one of those live streams that that's one of the worst things you could possibly do to someone. My lawyer objects, objection, Your Honor, hearsay, and then, oh no, and then... An objection is when the...
That's true, though I think being someone else's lawyer is a bit different to being the plaintiff, having to reveal personal sexual information in a court. Sure, I don't know, I don't care.
The lawyer believes that the question is asked that the jury shouldn't have the right to know the answer to, right? Objection, they shouldn't ask this question because this is not relevant. There could be a million reasons why you call
Your Honor, objection. My opposition is the retarded. My opposition do not have the right acupoints to present their argument. They do not know they do not know the words mean. Objection, Your Honor. My opposition is retarded. They are wasting our time.
objection. When you call an objection, the judge is the one that decides whether or not the jury shall have access to this record or that the question shall be asked. The judge is supposed to make that call. So my lawyer calls for an objection.
And become a Chinese
Objection, Your Honor,
streamer.
hearsay.
我都不会说那么多中文，我不知道为什么你要我变成中文 streamer， 为什么？
And then Pxie goes, it's not hearsay. And then the judge interrupts her and says, I will decide if it's hearsay. It's overruled, meaning the objection was overruled. He allowed the question to stand. But she tried to, she tried to answer. Oh no. Anyway, by the way, this is what all the Kiwi farmers and legal and all these retarded Kiwi farmer lawyers, all of these people thought that this was going to be me, by the way. But anyway. Her lawyer. So, Miss Doe, at some point, was any of the content from your encounter, sexual encounter with Mr. Bunnell, circulated to your knowledge? And then Pxie says, like publicly, or, and then her lawyer says, well, how was it ever circulated in any fashion? And then she says, I sent it to my previous partner, and that was it. Now, I will say, I never knew this. I'd never known about this. I had no idea, no clue about it. Now, being honest, I will say, well, yeah, I mean, we talked about this. This was
You have Chinese keyboard installed too? Yeah, of course. But I see that you don't have it installed, which is why you're typing and pinging. Nice, good one.
kind of like the agreement. I would figure that if there are guys she's hooking up with or whatever, that maybe she would, that maybe she would share. Like, because that's what we recorded stuff like this for. I had no idea, though, until this hearing at this point in time. Okay. And then her lawyer says, was there consent from Mr. Bonnell? And then the judge interrupts again. And the judge is like, what do you mean? I'm sorry, I misunderstood what your answer was. And then Pxie goes, my previous partner, my previous boyfriend, the one that earlier I mentioned when I did the encounter with Mr. Bonnell, I was like, oh, can I send it to the person that I'm like currently, in love with? That would be the only person who would like, and then the judge interrupts again and he says, so did you send it or did he send it? And then Pxie goes, I sent it and I showed it to my previous partner. And then the judge says, and how did you get a copy of this? And Pxie says, he sent it to my phone. And the judge says, he sent a video to your phone? And then Pxie says, yes. And then the judge says, and then you forwarded it? And then Pxie says, yes. And the judge says, okay. And then her lawyer says, was that with Mr. Bonnell's consent? And then she says, yes. We never talked about that. Again, I didn't even know this. And she says, yes. Not only that, and I don't know if these will ever come up in the future court filings, because I don't even know if this is even a real case anymore. But one of the things that Pxie would tell me about her boyfriend a lot was that he got really jealous. The reason why we stopped hooking up or sexting at all, we only hooked up one time. The reason why we stopped sexting is because she said that her ex would get like really jealous and stuff. So I had no idea that this guy who is super jealous of her hookups, and I don't even know if this guy hates me or not, has, 3 videos of us. Like, I don't know that. But, hey, it's all Gucci, whatever.
What?
And then she says yes, and then her lawyer says, all right, did there come a time that Mr. Bonnell disseminated your video to any other individuals without your consent? She says yes. He asks, all right, and when did he do that? She says, he apparently did this on multiple occasions. Unfortunately, there's contention around the exact date when he sent it to Rose. I thought it was October 4th. She's lying. But it could have been 2022. But it could have 2022. They're saying it was April 4th, 2022, or something along the lines. I'm not sure. The judge says, well, back up a step. When did you first learn of him transmitting anything? And then she says, oh, I learned that on the day after Thanksgiving, November 28th of 2024. The judge says, okay, and how did you learn it? And she said, because one of the people that he sent it to decided to publish my video and the video of multiple
Oh yeah, drink that drinky drink. Dude, what is wrong with you?
other partners to a website called Kiwi Farms, and that website is known for also doxing and harassing people. And the judge said, and how did you learn of this? And Pxie says, because I started getting messages from a whole bunch of people and random strangers in DMs, and people started posting under my social media pictures of the video and then telling me oh, you just got exposed to oh, I hope you know this, but your Destiny video got leaked out. Oh my God, yeah. And the judge says, okay. Now a question, now I don't know what the judge is thinking here, but again, if you're not an idiot, the big
Oh. Being told that Tectone's fans are calling me Hassan Orbiter in on my second channel. That's funny.
question here is, wait a second, why aren't you suing the person who, now I'm not saying the judge is implying this at all, but the question I think any reasonable person, and this is what both lawyers told Pxie before she found this current law firm, why aren't you suing the person who published this video online?
Oh.
Why are you, what? Why is that person not a party to this case? Hello?
Bro.
And she's fully admitting all of this as well, right? Now,
Like I said before, okay? Pxie actually has a better chance against Kiwi Farms and a better chance, you know what she should have done in the beginning, okay? Since the very beginning? She should have just teamed up with Destiny for the greater good and said, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to forgive you. I'm not going to forgive you. Fuck you. I'm not going to forgive you. However, what I can do, and by the way, okay, it's not like she has a leg to stand on anyway, okay? Just because I believe that Pxie has like also admitted to sharing videos without Steven's consent. So the thing is that like none of this matters in the first place because Pxie has literally done what Steven has done, okay? Just by the way. However, at the time, without all of us knowing, without any knowledge of anything, right? It would have been far better if she just simply said, well, I'm not going to forgive you. From her perspective, she knows that she's a hypocrite, but you know, no one knows that at the time. All right. And she can be like, well, but we can put aside our differences to go after Solo, right? What's the point? Why do we have to fight each other? We can go after Kiwi Farms and we can go after Solo, okay? Don't worry, there's going to be a criminal court case against Solo, press charges, right? For potentially sex trafficking women, right? And there's going to be a civil case against Kiwi Farms for allowing the video to hold up, right? There's like multiple things that you can do, right? So she picked the worst of the worst option. Like you have 3 options. 2 of these have higher chances of having better outcomes, even though suing Kiwi Farms will probably do nothing. I'm just gonna say that. Okay, you're probably not gonna win that lawsuit either. You don't have to go after a civil lawsuit. You can just go after a criminal lawsuit to bring someone who is a heinous villain to justice.
Now keep in mind, if this hearing feels rough so far,
But you cannot lead the retarded horse to the water. The retarded water do not understand. It needs to go to the retarded horse. Man with 1 chopstick go hungry. Foolish man give wife grand piano. Wise man give wife upright organ. Okay, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm just reading these. Man who stand on toilet is high on pot. Non-applicable.
this is direct examination. Direct examination is just your own lawyer asking you questions to get stuff on the record. This should all be good for you, okay? All of this should help you as much as possible. All right. The judge says, okay. Her lawyer says, so that was in November of 2022 when you first found out? Oh, also, her lawyers have facts wrong, which is just totally inexcusable. She says, yes, no, sorry, 2024.
Oh my God.
The judge says, 2024, you said? Pxie says, yes, November 2024 is when I first found out that the video had been publicly disseminated. Her lawyer says, there's the who is Rose. Pxie says, I wish I could tell you. I wish I knew who she was. I don't even know if the defendant knows who she is exactly because it doesn't seem like they ever met in real life. According to, like, the messages online, it seems like she was a 19-year-old girl, but he never verified her age, to my understanding. So the hacker who took control of the account, or whatever, claims that she was 17 at the time they started sexting and corresponding. And that's kind of all I know about her. I just know he never actually met her, and we don't actually know her age. Now again, why isn't this person in court? Why aren't we suing anybody involved with this? Why do you seem to know so much information about this person, but you didn't name them as a party to the case? Kind of weird.
Yeah. Like, again, I have been saying that, like, she should have taken other paths to do the morally right thing, okay? Yes, I am victim blaming.
Yeah, and that's kind of all I know about her. I just know they never actually met her, and we don't actually know her age. Why does that matter here? This is, again, like you're just using the court. Her lawyer asks, as this issue has progressed, did you come to learn whether or not Mr. Bunnell had continued to share that explicit encounter without your consent? She said, yes. And what other occasions are you aware of that he shared it with other individuals without your consent? She says, after I spoke about this issue and what was happening, I found out that Abby MC apparently received a video of me in 2023. I got a couple of messages as well of people who said that they think that they received a video of me. One of those people said that they think that their sister received a video of me and that the sister recognized me from a video just a few months ago. But unfortunately, some of these people have deleted their accounts. Why the fuck did you not get affidavits and everything from these people before filing your suit? If you thought that these people were relevant, why would you not get affidavits? Why would you not get everything that you could about these people? But hey, whatever. Andrew, objection, Your Honor. Lacks foundation. Also contains hearsay testimony. Her lawyer responds, it goes to state of mind, judge, and this hearsay is admissible in this type of hearing. The judge says, well, I'm not admitting it for the truth. It's just for the perception at the time. And when did you learn of the second distribution? She says, the Abby or the person who said the sister? The judge says, the first of those. She says, it was after January 20th, after the Substack was posted, that's when I started receiving people, or a few months after that. Her lawyer says, after you initially found out, after Thanksgiving, that this video had been uploaded to Kiwi Farms, did you make efforts to contact Mr. Bunnell? She said, yeah, I basically, because I know that there was more than one video in that encounter, like I asked him if he sent anything more to other people. I was really paranoid, essentially, for the next few days that something else would come up that I wouldn't know about. He says, when was this conversation? The judge says, when was this conversation? Pxie says, it was the day of that I found out about the leaks. I texted him immediately. I was like, what's going on? Did you send this to anybody else? Like, how many other people are? Or is there anything else that I should be prepared for, basically? The judge says, this is in November of 2024. She says, yes. Her lawyer, when did Mr. Bunnell respond to you? Or what did Mr. Bunnell respond to you? Pxie says, he said something along the lines of, I'm so sorry, there's literally no excuse. I was fairly close to this person. If it makes you feel any better, literally no excuse. I'm so sorry. Her lawyer says, however, after that date, he continued disseminating. Pxie said, I will argue that, yes. What do you mean you will argue that?
Like, is there any evidence of that? Like, that's a pretty big claim, right? Like, that's a pretty big claim. Like if you're gonna argue that he was like malicious, right? Like, you are arguing malice, right? Because you've made something known to someone that you're not okay with this, but this person has continued to do malicious behavior, right? Yeah, I don't know. Like, again, did that get swept under the rug? Was there anything that came of that part, or what? Right? Because like, do you have any evidence that could come out of that? I don't know.
The answer is yes or no. My lawyer objection calls for speculation. The judge says sustained as to form. Her lawyer says okay. So that discussion took place in when? November 2024, correct? She says yes, November 28th of 2024. How does she know that exact date? Whatever. He says, all right. And the other individual who says that their sister received it approximately how long before January 20th, 2025? She says they said a few months before. They said like 2 to 3 months before, something along those lines. Her lawyer asks, and even after disseminating it to Rose, he had continued disseminating it thereafter, correct? She says yes. He says, all right. Did at any time Mr. Bunnell have a hyperlink to Kiwi Farms in the video? Andrew says objection, vague and ambiguous. The judge says overruled, you can answer. She says, by hyperlink, do you mean like sending his followers there? Or the lawyer says, correct. Pxie says, there was a Twitter post where he directly told everybody that they could still find the material on Kiwi Farms. So he did tell everybody, like, go to this website, find this material, basically. Now, just to be clear, and I hate how fucking disgusting she is. I hate how disgusting Pxie is. She's the grossest woman, the most disgusting, vile, putrid woman I've ever interacted with in my entire life.
Whoa! Is that Steven using the word putrid? I wonder which streamer commonly uses that insult.
Life, okay? My complaint was that everybody's making videos and complaining about all this shit, and my 29 videos, of which like 25 of these are just solo jerk videos, are still hosted on Kiwi Farms. Everybody's talking about this. All my shit is still publicly out there. And her interpretation of that is he basically told everybody to go to Kiwi Farms and find out. I was like, okay, thank you. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm saying there. Thank you so much. Her lawyer says, when did he do that? She said he did that, I think, around February 20th. I'm not sure of the exact date, but I think it was around February. The judge says of 2025. She says yes. The judge says, now prior to November 2024, had you maintained a relationship with him? She says, prior, yeah, we were friends. He had this live stream for the election, and I was there. We collaborated in kind of the same projects with his community. Yeah, we were friends. Her lawyer asks, how has the dissemination of this video impacted you personally? She says, there's various stages to this. When the video first came out, I basically could not sleep. I had a lot of trouble sleeping at night. I was super anxious all the time. I was just waiting for somebody to, like, tell my parents.
Oh yeah, by the way, I just want to say this real quick. I think that if you want to show, like, emotional or psychological distress, I think you need to be able to provide a very clear link or distinction of what is going on, right? What I mean is you're able to connect point A to point B. Like, oh yeah, I was of good mental status, considered stable by my therapist. Here's the paperwork that say so. And I have provided a statement by my therapist who says that because of this event, by the therapist's word and expert's word, that yeah, in fact, this event is what shook me up, or like present like a psychiatrist or something, I would imagine, right? Because from what I remember in the past, and this is not even applicable to like the current thing, from what I remember in the past, the threshold for proving emotional or psychological distress is extremely high. Like it's not even close. It's extremely high. Like you have to be able to show so much evidence, because otherwise, I think people need to realize that literally every single party argues that they have been distressed, depressed, and suicidal, right? Yeah, even suicidal, like actually suicidal. So the thing is that like you need to be able to show, because it's like, oh wait, do you have a history of being suicidal? Yes, Your Honor. Okay, can you show how this is able? Is there any documentation as we are able to ascertain as to which your suicidality have in fact gotten worse or increased or greatly exacerbated by this specific situation? No, Your Honor. Okay. Right? Like, I don't know. Like, what is the threshold for emotional distress for defamation? Because there are very, very, very specific things you need to be able to prove, okay? Well, not very specific, but just, yeah. So this is by a random ass law firm out there, okay? Don't worry about it. But, yeah, okay. Hey guys, please like the stream. Also donate if you're able, okay? Any account support is great. Okay. I'm his public defender. Okay, wait. The significance of emotional distress. Emotional distress often presents as this and that. Okay, all right. Establishing proof. Duty of care. At the core of every personal injury lawsuit, particularly those that encompass emotional distress, lies the fundamental concept of duty of care. This principle signifies that the defendant held responsibility toward the plaintiff, creating a legal obligation to behave reasonably and prevent harm to the plaintiff. This forms the foundation for proving negligence or misconduct on the defendant's part. Okay, so this does not apply, obviously, because I don't think Pxie is labeled to be mentally retarded, even though I actually think she is that retarded horse, but you know what? Whatever, okay? We go beyond that, okay? Breach of duty. Establishing a breach of duty is important in demonstrating emotional distress. It is essential to convey that the defendant violated their duty of care through negligence. So this applies to here, so which again does not apply to this specific court case, okay? Causation. Causation is the linchpin connecting the defendant's actions or negligence to the plaintiff's emotional distress. Establishing a clear cause and effect relationship is crucial. In essence, it must be demonstrated that the defendant's actions were the direct catalyst for the plaintiff's emotional anguish. This often necessitates comprehensive evidence and expert testimony to substantiate the claims. All right, what does that look like? We'll see later. Severe emotional distress must demonstrate the severity of the distress experience, which is one of the most crucial components. Okay. Documentation and evidence. Gathering compelling evidence is fundamental to constructing a robust case for emotional distress. The documentation should encompass a comprehensive range of materials, including medical records, therapy, or counseling records, eyewitness testimonies, and expert witness testimony. These pieces of evidence authenticate and validate the claims, providing a solid foundation for the base, okay, in which she has provided zero, okay? Corroborating evidence without blah, 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 you may prevent additional photographs, videos, and other documents. Yeah, okay, so this is probably less important than the direct evidence, okay? But I'm just saying, there's nothing. There's literally nothing, okay? I'm sorry, there's nothing, okay? I'm sorry. There's nothing, okay? It isn't just saying, oh, my feelings were hurt, okay? Nobody gives a fuck about that, all right? Facts don't care about your feelings, okay? But do you know what is fact? Documentation. Documentation is fact, okay? Witness testimony from a therapist, a psychiatrist, or a psychologist is fact, okay? The pharmacist saying that you ordered like X and Y depression drugs after this date is fact. These are all fact, okay? That's fact, all right? Prescription records, therapy records, counseling records, psychologist records, these are fact, okay? Okay, all right. Diagnoses, blah, 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 okay? All right.
Parents or my family would happen, I would be crying constantly. I was super depressed. I was in a really bad state of mind. And at the time, one of my friends was like, oh, maybe you should like try to seek legal justice because that seems to be like something that's like really big on your mind. So I
Editors, clip that into a short. Editors, send in P. Diddy.
tried doing that. And then I was told that there was no guarantee of Jane Doe's status and that if I didn't receive that, good luck. You know, people are going to harass my family potentially more or my, you know, just as a clear thing, I think this is a lie. I think she asked a friend or something about this because the Jane Doe status is literally baked into the federal statute that she's suing me under. So I don't know who would have told her this. Now, I don't know if she'll say this in the hearing, but the one thing that she was told by two separate law firms, and I know this, but I only know this because of the leaked DMs between her and Aaron, because she hasn't turned over any of those to me because she's not giving me anything in discovery, which is interesting. But in the leaked DMs to Aaron, she mentions two different law firms told her that she didn't have a case against me, that she should be suing the guy that leaked the videos. Just saying. So she continues. So and I'm not saying that this was right or okay, but that's what my mindset was at the time. The original plan was basically for me to commit suicide and schedule a note for after I died, detailing what Stephen had done and hoping that everybody would forever know what he.
A suicide note, I believe, according to what we just saw, is not evidence. It's not evidence. It's not evidence. It's not. Okay? It's not evidence.
He did, and be able to stay away from him and be able to be more wary and cautious.
Sorry. I think to be clear, I believe a suicide note can be presented as evidence, but it would need to be corroborating evidence. It cannot be the main evidence. It cannot, okay? It would need to be the icing on top. It cannot be the base of the cake, all right?
And it was
A chef cannot build a cake from the frosting. A chef must build the cake from the base. You must have the vanilla cream.
only after essentially being on like suicide watch with my friends. I'm very lucky to have the friends that I have that were constantly checking on me every day and making sure.
Why are you thanking your friends in a preliminary court hearing? You are a retard. You are a retard. You are a retard. Retard. Why are you giving out shout outs to your friends during? Why?
I was okay, and, you know, basically convincing me, hey, don't do anything rash. At least do your best legally first, and then if that doesn't work out, you can figure it out later.
Ow.
But just try this option first before the life-ending one. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to try my best to go that route first and see what I can handle and everything. So just to be clear, this is extortion. I don't know if no one had told her this, but this is extortion. You can't come to me and say, I need you to give me $1 million or I'm going to kill myself and post a note about you to embarrass and humiliate you. That is textbook extortion in all 50 states. That is extortion. You can't do this. Well, I mean, I guess you can. I guess you tried. Also, just to be clear, because a lot of people are bringing up Aaron in chat, I think it's gross that Aaron was able to get back into every community and nobody cared or seemed to have any questions about it. And
Exactly. I actually cannot believe, for the love of God, I actually cannot, I am flabbergasted, disgusted, unimaginably, like fucking, I find it putrid, okay? Putrid, yes, that's my original word, okay? I find it putrid that Erin has basically wormed her way back into all the communities that Destiny should rightfully belong in, okay? I'm sorry, to see Destiny replaced by Straighterate the communist, the Marxist-Leninist accelerationist is fucking nuts, okay? Unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable behavior to Hutch, Josiah, Pisco, Econoboy, Soypill, okay? These people are the worst people on planet Earth specifically for that, okay? They're the worst people on planet... Okay, they're not the worst people on planet Earth. They're the worst people... That is the worst sin. Okay,
I think her political views are disgusting. That being said, okay, maybe I'm just a simp loser.
By the way, I just want to say, if you just, like, simply brought in a random fucking communist motherfucker, nobody gives a fuck, okay? Like, nobody will give a fuck if you brought in some random-ass motherfucker that nobody has heard before. But it kind of feels like it kind of feels like to me that if you bring in Straightaway specifically, that is like rubbing salt into the wound, if that makes sense. Like in my opinion, that feels like rubbing salt into the wound. Okay? Like you didn't just bring in some rando. Okay? Like if my job was to rub salt into the wound, I would bring in Straightaway specifically. I would bring in Straightaway specifically to rub salt into the wound. If my objective is to actually be extremely spiteful and hurtful for literally no reason, that would be my objective, okay? But what can you do, all right? The snakes are always good at snaking, which is why they're called snakes in the first place, all right? So it would make sense that they would snake their way into other places, all right? Otherwise, why would they be snakes? Yeah, it's tautological, okay? Oh yeah, by the way, I just want to say, in case you're just saying, oh yeah, I'm arguing this from Destiny's standpoint, can I just say I'm also arguing from Lonerbox's standpoint? I don't think Lonerbox and I will ever form a bridge, because, again, I've reached out to him, he has not responded. I'm guessing that's a no, okay? But the thing is that, like, I'm also arguing this from Lonerbox's standpoint, okay? If you care about Lonerbox, okay, then fine. Because what Lonerbox specifically said is that he had a problem as well with Straightaway worming her way back into all these communities. This is literally verbatim what he said. The reason why he said this was because he befriended Straightaway IRL. Because I'm pretty sure, this is just my guess, okay, speculation. Whoa, hey!
The dankest dungeon.
Misaki, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. Okay, so I just want to say real quick, okay? Because, again, okay, thank you. I really appreciate that. But just to be very clear, okay? Lonerbox befriended Straightaway IRL, I think during a time when Lonerbox was dating Pxie, okay? When Lonerbox was dating Pxie. If that is true and they were friends IRL, that means that when Straightaway decided it would be a good idea to leak everything to Present Sunday, she has also betrayed Lonerbox. Okay, so it isn't betraying Lonerbox because Pxie was dating Lonerbox at the time. It was betraying Lonerbox because they were friends. They were friends, and then Straightaway leaked that information to opposition. Right? Leaked that information to an op. Who is that op? Present Sunday. Which is exactly why, in my opinion, okay, this is the ultimate silver lining to all of this, okay? Because if it weren't for Straightaway betraying Lonerbox and betraying Pxie, we would have known about a lot of things. Like, for example, we wouldn't have known about Pxie lying about her suicidality, or at least leveraging her suicidality or extorting him before even this like thing was unsealed. Right? That's number one. And number two, we would have never known about, I would have never had an argument that Lonerbox also has an issue with Straightaway, because otherwise it would look like it's only coming from one side, right? Like if I argued that the only thing I have problem with is like, oh yeah, like she did Destiny dirty or something like that, right? That's or Straightaway managed to worm her way back into all these communities. Someone could easily say, well, you know, you're just saying that because Destiny like argues that, right? But that's not true. It's not just Destiny that's arguing it. It's Lonerbox that's arguing it as well, right? So it's almost as if it's a universal opinion, okay? But yeah, just a reminder, okay? Lonerbox is literally not even close to as unhinged as a lot of Steven's haters, even though Lonerbox has the most reason to be unhinged towards Destiny, other than Pxie herself, because Lonerbox was dating Pxie at the time. And this entire drama has basically almost made Lonerbox quit. So he has every reason to hate Destiny and to do everything revenge-wise to him, but even he is not as unhinged as a lot of Steven's haters, okay? It's not even close. So, which makes you think, okay?
Retard. Personally, I don't actually think Aaron interpersonally did anything wrong here besides trusting President Sunday with all the DMs. I do think Aaron was just looking out for everybody in the situation. I don't think that she was trying to be malicious. I think she was genuinely looking out for Pxie as much as she could. Just her sharing DMs with President Sunday was just so fucking stupid. But that's my assumption of it. But
I would probably disagree with that, just mainly because, like, if she actually cared about anything, I believe that straight away would have gotten permission from Pixie to share this information outwards in private, to talk about these feelings and talk about like all these things, right? Especially, I believe, to Present Sunday. It's one thing, like, I believe it's one thing if Aaron was talking about this to an IRL friend who isn't connected with this sphere, but I think it rises to another 5 levels entirely when you're talking about it very specifically with Present Sunday, right? We're not talking about anybody else here. We're talking about one of Destiny's biggest haters, okay? So, in my opinion, at the very least, no, nah, she doesn't deserve anything, okay? That's crazy. But you know, this is Destiny's own feelings. Typically, one of Destiny's flaws is that he doesn't really hold on to any much animosity. Like, he doesn't really hold on to. I mean, you can call it a strength or a weakness, I guess, because it's like he doesn't really hold a grudge, and so sometimes he just like interprets things as much more favorable than what actually happened. But from what I remember, from the context of the whole situation, nah, fucker. But hey, you know, whatever. The Great Betrayer, yeah. What was it? What was Aaron's name? Straight Array, the Great Betrayer, Butcher of Orbits, Flagrant of DGG. Yeah.
Anyway, hold on a sec.
Oh, yeah. Funnily enough, I just want to say Destiny isn't the only one that says that it's extortion. Do you know who else said it? Present Sunday in this video. Present Sunday said that Pixie was extorting Destiny. He's looking to the side. Who is he talking to? Ooh.
Okay. Her lawyer asks, do you still receive, or are you still the subject of derogatory posts on social media as a result of this encounter with Mr. Bonnell? Now, also, just a couple things, and I think all these DMs are public now. I really don't like the way that Pixie talks about suicidality with her friends. In my opinion, it is incredibly contrived and carefully crafted, because in every suicide message she types to somebody, she always types, I think I'm going to kill myself, but don't worry, I'm not going to do it like now. It's probably going to be a month or two from now. And I feel like when she's saying that, she's saying it so that she can't be Brady acted or whatever, so that she can't get interned or committed for 3 days or whatever at some suicide watch place. She's always saying, like, I'm going to kill myself, but don't worry, I'm not going to do it now. I'll wait until the holidays end. I've seen like 3 different messages where she types something. She's done it once to Aaron. She did it, I think, twice to, she did it twice with Kyla. She might have done it with me once. I don't know if she did that. I'm not suicidal right now. That, in my mind, that's crazy. Also, oh God, I need to do like MDMA for one of these streams. I wish.
Yeah, I'm gonna end my life 2 months from now. What? What's stopping you?
I could cry right now.
In Minecraft.
Okay. Pretend I have tears streaming down my face, okay? My best friend killed himself when I was 21 years old. That was a pretty fucked up moment in my life, okay? Laid down in some train tracks and let a train run over him and died. His name was Christopher Aguirre. It was Malvern, Iowa. You can read the story online. So it's kind of crazy to me, all right? If I was a crying person, okay, I would be invoking that trauma right now. And I would be saying, oh my God, my best friend killed himself, and she was using the same language, okay? Oh, and Reckful killed himself too. He was a friend of mine.
Yeah, especially when you consider that that Destiny essentially had 2 important people in his life like kill themselves. Like, insert joke here about how insufferable Steven is. Blah 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 blah. Okay, I know. Okay, but like, yeah, again, like when you have like 2 friends that essentially kill themselves, right? I just think it's crazy. I think this is wild. I think this is wild shit. But yeah, whatever.
But you know,
what can you do?
It's hard for me to really... Okay. All right. Kaya, Sid, Jesus. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. All right.
Nice. Good one. Good memes.
He said, do you still receive, or are you still the subject of derogatory posts on social media as a result of this encounter with Mr. Bonnell? She said, oh, absolutely. Although I will say that most of it is from Mr. Bonnell's community now. Not very good. He said, how has this impacted you? She says, I have like thousands of people online believing that I was not serious about suicide. I have thousands of people online say that I was like a liar and that I am lying about this case continuously, even though I would argue the opposite actually holds true. Obviously, the general feelings like depression and anxiety, and I fear like going outside. But I think the biggest one, like, I don't know, I still struggle with the suicidal thoughts sometimes. I'm getting help mentally, professionally. But what I see is like thousands of people basically claiming that I'm
I can't believe it. I actually cannot believe it. I actually cannot believe it, dude. I don't even think, like, I don't even think Pxie was even trying to look good. Like, to me, this just screams that she wasn't even trying. Like, I feel there's no way, right? There's no way she was actually trying, right? Because it's like, yeah, like, this is crazy to me. Yeah, I don't fucking know anymore. Like, woman be womaning. but like, I'm just saying, like, not a single piece of documentation, not a single piece of documentation about your mental health at all. I don't know. Woman be shopping.
lying about how I feel
True.
and that I wasn't actually serious. Like, yeah, there is a little part of my brain that is like, maybe I should end it and stop the pain that I feel and just show everybody that I wasn't lying and that I am, and this is not okay. Oh, and then she starts crying at this point. And then her lawyer says, do you need a second? Would you like some water? She says, yeah, please, 1 sec. He says, we'll get you some water, Miss Doe. Are you okay to continue? She says, can I have like 1 minute, please? Her lawyer says,
yeah.
Your Honor, would you mind giving her a break? The judge says, you can take a 5-minute break. She says, thank you.
So stupid.
And then, okay. Miss Doe, her lawyer,
This
do you
is
feel
so
ready to
stupid.
proceed? She says, yeah. Did you have to have discussion with your family about the uploading of this video? She said, yeah. He said, what was this conversation like? She said, oh my gosh, I just got out of it. I'm like, okay, sorry, And then the judge said, well, the judge interrupts and he says, well, let me ask you this question. Do they know about your relationship with the defendant? I think she says yes here. It says no audible response. Maybe yes or kind of. And then the judge says, okay. And who all did other people know? And then Pxie says, there should have only been 2 people who should have known, my ex-boyfriend and Steven's ex-wife, Melina. And to be clear, I told him he could tell her, but I didn't say anything about showing her anything. But those were the only 2 people who should have. Now, big issue here. What? So earlier she said just not to send the video around. Then she said nobody should know about anything. Now she's saying, well, I told him that Melina could know, but Melina couldn't see the video. What? Remember, this is the core claim of really, truly all 4 of your acts, your civil causes of action here, especially your federal claim. How are you unclear about what the agreement or the arrangement is that you're coming to court to testify about? This is the most important. And also, keep in mind as well here, excuse me, you're saying that you and me recorded.
Between this and Colgate, it's been a big week for white women. I'm exhausted. It's been a big week for the unemployed, okay? Thank you for being unemployed.
Sexual material, and I said that your boyfriend could look at it, but my wife couldn't? In what world would that ever be an arrangement? Bro, Melina would kill me. There's no world, and I would never make that arrangement because I would feel cucked. Like, hold on, we're recording something where you can show this to whoever you want, and I can't even show it to my own wife? Wait, what? So dumb. What a dumb, horrible answer, but whatever. The judge says, now, let me ask you this question. You said you originally met him through online. Have you yourself had an online profile before? She said, at the first time I just started, I transferred universities, and it was a very big change. I didn't have a lot of friends in my new university, so I was like, okay, I have a camera, I have a computer, maybe I can try making friends this way, online, just live streaming, talking, see who I connect with. The judge says, when was this? She says, it was around 2019 or 2020, so it was around 2019 or 2020, around there. Again, I don't know how she doesn't have all the dates for this memorized. This is your court case. Do you not care about any of this?
Is crazy.
Is this a joke to you? The judge says, okay, and what university were you going to at the time? She said, I was going to Fordham University, but I just transferred to University of Florida. Gators.
I just trans. Gender transition. Absolute cinema.
The judge says, so you began engaging in online social media accounts, things of that nature. She says, yeah, I just kind of leaned into politics. I was like, these are the topics that I care about,
I'm
that I think are
hungry.
important. And then people were like, those are important, or no, you're so wrong about this. The judge says, did you ever introduce your personal life into any of your videos or your posts? She says, not really, no. I mean, the only thing, Destiny, quick cue. Oh, pee break, shut up. The witness, she says, not really, no. I mean, the only thing I would talk about that would be somewhat personal would be, oh, you know.
Oh yeah, that was funny as fuck. Sorry. Listen, I am doing this, okay? But Destiny basically made like a victory tweet, whatever. And then this person says tagged me and said, Legal Mindset JStock, fire up your cope streams ASAP so not Foodshops can react to them tonight. Thanks. And then Foodshops and us viewers are eating good tonight. They always do, it's the only time. Thanks for the support. That's cute. It's cute saying this. Okay, but cool. Good stuff.
Things relating to like mental health and the importance of it, and like how, you know, I think it's not something talked about enough in society, but I wouldn't tell people like, this is the university I'm going to, or like, these are, yeah, my name. I made sure I would not say that. Keep it super private because I know that with that information, like people can do a lot of damage. Then the judge says, I was going to ask you that question actually. Did you post or submit things under your own name or under a moniker? She says, generally speaking, if not every single, like, all social media accounts, Pxie. I didn't want people, to know my real name, period. The judge says, okay, so back to counsel's question about you telling your family about your encounter with the defendant. She said, yeah, so basically the way that conversation went is my dad told me that he was disappointed at me, like he was disappointed. And then I kind of had to stop him there and tell him, please don't say anything else because I promise you there's nothing that you can say that I haven't already thought of or have told myself. So yeah, that's kind of like how the conversation went. After that, my parents softened a little bit because I think they could see that I was not in the best mental state. But yeah, it was really embarrassing. Her lawyer... Oh, minor sidestep, I guess, for life advice.
Minor?
Especially if you're listening to me and you're younger, make sure that you DM. No, stop! Not an appropriate joke. Very inappropriate. If you're younger, if you ever get into some fucked up shit and you're actually facing some like real trouble,
why would
either
you say
legal
this?
Or interpersonal or some crazy shit, and you're worried that your parents are gonna get mad at you, I promise you, unless your parents are actual sociopaths, okay? I promise you, Mom and dad will always be there to help you or stick up for you to keep you safe first and foremost. And it's always better to go to family or mom or dad rather than assume that they're not going to be on your side and then risk your whole life up. Okay? Your parents will always thank you. If it's a super huge thing, they might not even punish you for it because they're happy enough that you came to them. Just saying, always keep that in the back of your mind. Don't hide like life-destroying shit from your parents. Even if you think they're going to judge you or whatever, assuming they're normal human parents that love you and care about you, which they do, even if they're mean sometimes, or unless they're sociopaths, they will help you. Okay? Don't always keep that in mind. Okay?
My parents are typically sociopaths, but yeah, you know what? Generally, that is true, sure. But is it bad that my parents were sociopaths? What if the only reason the person I am now is because I had a bad childhood? Makes you think.
All right.
Well, Nathan, maybe.
But not if you murder somebody. Yeah, Tyler Robinson went to his parents and they sold him out. So I guess if you murder somebody, don't tell them. I'm just kidding. Okay.
Oh, okay, Nathan. If you kill a random kid at school because he stole your lunch money, okay, do not tell Steven. Good luck.
All right. Her lawyer asks, going back to an earlier topic, you mentioned Kiwi Farms. After Mr. Bennell directed his followers to the content back on Kiwi Farms, you, OC, you, okay? Are you aware of how many people viewed it or how many people accessed that site? My lawyer said, objection, calls for speculation. Her lawyer says, if she knows. The court says, I'll sustain it based on lack of foundation. Her lawyer says, all right. Her lawyer said, did you at any time go back to Kiwi Farms to determine whether or not how many views that video had obtained in a certain period of time? My lawyer says, the same objection, Your Honor. And then the judge says, you haven't established a predicate. The judge says, when were you first alerted that there might have been a posting or an uploading on what is Kiwi Farms, like another Instagram kind of thing. I think when it says establish your predicate, so you can't just ask a question without any kind of like lead up to establishing why the question is relevant or whatever. Like you have to like set up the question first. I believe. I don't know all the objection rules. You can go Civ Pro is a class that everybody hates for a reason. Go look all this up on your own time, okay? All right. Pxie OC is opposing counsel also. Sorry, the opposition's lawyers, opposing counsel is OC. Sorry. Pxie says the witness. It's like a website. It's an online forum. The judge says okay. Pxie says basically a bunch of people anonymously post there. Usually they have threads targeting individuals to like harass and dox them. And Destiny has his own thread of people there posting negative information about him. The judge says okay, and then Pxie continues.
Let me guess. The judge says, okay. If you say that this website was anonymous, how would you determine that it was actually coming from Stephen? Your Honor, I have no idea. I cannot say. Okay. Why haven't you gone after the actual poster of this message, if what you say is purported to be true? Your Honor, I am a retard.
To Yap, and he was aware that this website existed, and he was also aware there was a thread about him. And the only reason I bring that up is because it's insane to me that, you know, that you have like a dedicated group of people who just want to harm you or are trying to find out every single bit of your personal life, and that you're just disseminating out pornographic content of others without consent, privately, whatever, knowing that these group of people exist out there. But that's a side note. I first found out on November 28th, where basically the same day, essentially, that's where, when everybody was like, oh, Kiwi Farms has your stuff, Kiwi Farms has your stuff, Kiwi Farms has your stuff. The judge says, so it was contemporaneous with you finding out the first time? She says, yes. The judge says, got it. She says, I do want...
By the way, you should never assume that, like, you should never assume that judges do not know anything about internet stuff, okay? Because they're a bunch of boomers. You should never, ever, 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 ever assume that. Just mainly because they probably know actually more than the average fucking normie, just mainly because they have to deal every day with the internet. You can be like the biggest boomer on earth and be a judge and be exposed to the internet, right? When you're 80, and by 90, if you still haven't retired yet as a judge, like, I'm just saying, like, you'll probably know all there is about, like, evidence seeking and stuff like that when it comes to the internet, and how easy people can fabricate evidence, or the way that digital laws are applied. Just mainly because we live in the age of the internet. It's been many decades at this point since the internet was born. So the thing is like, it would be very shocking to me if a judge did not know all that much about the internet. But
want to note that the website gained so much traction that it crashed repeatedly, to my understanding, to my knowledge. By the way, that crash was because of my blowjob videos, my gay videos, not because of anything with Pxie, but, you know, nobody even really knew about that outside of like a few unhinged people on Kiwi Farms, but that's okay. Andrew says, move to strike, Your Honor, Lex Foundation. Her lawyer.
You know what my headcanon is? My headcanon is that, like, all of Kiwi Farms is just a, like, in that instance, like, all the fucking gay Kiwi farmers just fucking flocked to that video because they all they did was, like, fantasize about fucking Destiny and projected all of that onto, like, his fans and every single fan that Destiny has, right? So every single time they say something like, oh yeah, you just want to, like, deep throat Steven. Oh, you just want to, like, suck his dick. Like, I'm just imagining they're actually just projecting, and there's just a bunch of bisexual and gay men on Kiwi Farms, so it's just, like, projecting their desires out there, okay? Listen, when you frame everything through that, everything starts to make sense. I have never seen any one community analyze a man's dick so hard, okay? I'm telling you, dude. I am telling you, all right? Never seen any community hate women and analyze a man's dick so hard, okay? You cannot tell me these people are straight. And there is no heterosexual explanation for this, okay? These people are gay. Gay. They are fruity, okay? And they're probably closeted as well, okay? Yeah, I don't know. Gay men hating women and, like, analyzing another man's dick? Yeah. That's a lot of gay men on one website, guys. I don't know.
How is it that you know that?
Look.
She says, I know that because the owner of the website made a public posting saying Destiny's BJ video is getting so many views that the website
They raised
crashed.
dick? I have no idea.
Not the
Okay.
gay one, not the one with Pxie. I don't know. She tries to make it sound like that, but whatever. He says, where was that? Well, I should say the bi one because I'm not gay. Okay. He says, where was that posted? She says, that was posted on Twitter. The judge says, so you found out about the Kiwi Farms connection on November 28th? She says, yeah. Then her lawyer asks, when was the posting by the owner of the site? She says, about it being crashed. And then he says, yes. And then she says, it was a few days after. I can't recall the exact date. I just remember seeing it a few days after and being like, oh my God, everybody knows. She knows that this was not about her. I think Noel's tweet, somebody can go find it. I think Josh's tweet might even specifically reference that it was the gay video, but okay, whatever. Her lawyer asks, are you familiar with a Google Drive that Mr. Bunnell has with this explicit video of your encounter with him? My lawyer objects, lacks foundation. The judge overrules it. She said, so I know he had, and I know Abby said that she had received an explicit material of me through the Google Drive. I know he had a Google Drive, or apparently he would upload a bunch of other people's, including him, but like pornographic content without their... The judge says, how do you know this? She says, I know this because the leaker... Well, I know this for a couple of reasons. I know this because the leaker posted messages where Destiny is sending Google Drive links to Rose, to the girl. So there's messages of Destiny being like, oh, if you want to see this video, here's a Drive link, here's a link, here's a link. And the judge says, and you got that from who, Rose? She says, the person who took control of Rose's account leaked all the messages between Destiny and her, and that's included there. First of all, it's not all the messages, but okay. I also know this because multiple women afterwards came out and told me, oh, I received pornographic content about other people, and now I realize that content was probably without consent using these links. And I know that because Destiny himself has stated, and at that time, I thought anything he uploaded there was with the consent of other people, but now I realize that's not the case. Early on, he sent me a Google Drive link or mentioned one, so those are the ways that I found out. So all of this is just like not related to any of this but at all, but okay. The judge says, so when is the first time you found out about the Google Drive link? Also, this is really bad too, because it wasn't until afterwards when I went back and I was reading the messages, I didn't send any video Pixies through a Google Drive link. It was just a media attachment on Discord. So this whole legal theory that they were flirting with here is all bunk, but they bring it up a lot because they want, obviously, to lean into this as much as they can. When is the first time you found out about the Google Drive link? The judge asks. She says, I can't remember the exact date because he deleted all of our messages, but I do remember that he sent me one of Melina, like a file with Melina through the Google Drive. And I assumed okay, he's sending me this, whatever. And the judge says, and when was that? And she says, when was that? That was before, I think, our first sexual encounter, but I honestly can't recall the exact date. That was before, you think it was before the sexual encounter? You don't know? Remember this answer. It's going to be brought up later.
Okay,
and
thanks.
then her lawyer asks, and Melina was who? And then she says, his ex-wife. And then the judge interrupts again. The judge's interruptions. I'm almost crying. Not even joking. I'm almost crying as the judge is asking questions because I'm like, thank God, I'm not crazy. And I didn't come into this hearing, because the whole internet and all of Kiwi Farms and all these fake lawyer fucks, the esports Batmans, the legal mindsets were
I want to see Steven cry for research purposes.
all saying one thing. And I'm like, there's no way, right? These people are crazy, right? And they are. So the judge stops and he's like, so he sent you a video of his ex-wife before your encounter with him? And she says, from my memory and recollection. And then the judge said, didn't that give you pause then to allow him to tape you? And she says, no, because I thought, Melina, the way that she was also described to me, and my understanding of her, was that her and Steven were in a super sexually liberated relationship, that they were, super open with each other, and that they were super open about sex, and, that they didn't really, care about that stuff, but that they were also very respectful about boundaries, because open relationships can't work without the proper set of boundaries and understanding. Is this a slut-shaming argument against Melina? I don't even know what the we're going with here, but okay. And the judge said, and you got this information from who? And she says, Steven. And the judge says, okay. And then she says, so I was And again, like, the only person I was with before Stephen was my former boyfriend. So I just thought, like, oh, this is just something I don't have a lot of knowledge on, but he seems very experienced and understanding. And we've had so many of these conversations about consent. She loves using this word over and over. Consent, consent, consent. It's like we're on the internet, and every time you use consent, it makes everything like rape, basically, but she uses words so much. Like, yeah, I was just under that impression that everything was going to be consensual. Then her lawyer asks, did Mr. Bonnell ever state to you that he was going to make efforts to take down the videos from Kiwi Farms? She said, yeah. He said that he was hired a legal firm to aid him in that, yeah. And then her lawyer asks, to your knowledge, do the videos still exist on Kiwi Farms? She said, I believe so. And then her lawyer says, okay, and during the course of the pendency of this case, has Mr. Bonnell dodged you by attempting to publish your name on any of his streams? She said, yes. And she said yes. And he said, and how did he do that? She said, I think it was the 19th of February. Even though he never, even in real life, he did not call me by my real name. He called me Pxie because that's an effort that I went to when it came to my streaming friends or my content creator friends, like referred to me as Pxie, Pxie, Pxie. That's how rarely I use my name, even whenever he referred to me for the first time ever as my real name. Now, this is true. However, the protective order wasn't issued until the 20th of February. Again, if you want to sue me in big boy court, okay, well, let's not be Pxie and Destiny. We'll be our real names. Like, yeah, well, you're filing a federal public case against me, sure. But now once the protective order got filed, it's like, oh, okay, then I won't do this. I guess we shouldn't do it, yeah. The judge said, and when was this? She said, this was, I believe, February 19th and 20th. Like, he uploaded another video in another channel called Last Night on Destiny or whatever on the 20th, but I believe his live stream was the 19th. Her lawyer says, okay.
Not crazy to me that she says or whatever, like whatever, whatever, like whatever, whatever, like whatever. Stop. Okay, like even if that is a part, like I'm just saying, even if that is like the way that you talk, how you can't just say or whatever. You can't say you can't do that, please. Please, you look unhinged. Okay? You look unhinged when you say or whatever, okay? You can't let that do the heavy lifting for you. That's crazy to me, okay? Like, that's what it sounds like to people.
The video that was shared of you, did it include a depiction of intimate sexual content that you were involved in? She said, yes. Wait, sorry, can you repeat that question? He said.
Like, nice, I said like. But I feel like if I had something like this coming up, I would be so nervous that I would be practicing how to talk better before a preliminary court hearing. Like,
Just a drink.
I feel like I would be...
Yes, the video that was shared...
I just heard the best ironic quote from an Asmongold video. The internet is full of losers who want someone to tell them they are not losers.
Thank you for the £5, Ed. But sadly, Asmongold is the same. And that's projection on his part. But thank you for the 5.
by Mr. Bonnell of you and him involve intimate sexual contact? She said yes. He said, all right. You indicated that it was also shared with Miss Mac without, Miss Abby Mac, MC, I think, without your consent. Oh, he's saying like Mick or Mac. Do you know if Abby Mac was outside the state of Florida? Yeah, she lives outside the state of Florida. Do you know what state she lives in? I can't remember off the top of my head right now. They don't want to say, by the way, because they're helping her dodge a subpoena, by the way. She still is continuing to dodge and hasn't been deposed, hasn't given any testimony, continues to avoid us. But, okay. She said, yeah, I'm sure. I think she just moved out of Texas. That's why I'm not sure exactly what state. But we had conversations before where I know 100% that she's not in Florida. At the time that the video was shared with her by Mr. Bonnell, do you know she was living in Texas?
You're not allowed to dodge subpoena. If you dodge subpoena, you could be found in contempt of court, and you could get jail time off of that. You could have fines and jail time. All right, and ideally, it should be pretty bad for your case. If you dodge a subpoena, you should not do that. It is. Is it illegal to do so? Yeah, I think so.
Texas? I think so, because I think she was, but I can't say for sure. Andrew says, objection, calls for speculation, and it lacks relevance. Judge says, overruled.
Oh, fuck.
She doesn't know, bottom line is the answer. Her lawyer says, did you consent to the disclosure of the video at any time to Mr. Bonnell? She said, disclose, like Mr. Bonnell to send the video to other people? He said, correct. And then she said, not, no. So now her answer here is, before it was like, don't send it around. Before I could tell Melina about it, I guess, but not show her. And now it's like, no, cannot send it to anybody ever. Yeah, just having her give like separate different answers to this is just like crazy to me. I don't know how she doesn't have one super strict, like well-prepared understanding. Remember, this goes to the core of her federal claim against me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be conspiracy minded, but I will be conspiracy minded just this once, okay? Just mainly because the rest of her behavior kind of shows it. I don't think she even cares about looking good in the in this preliminary hearing. Like, something tells me that she wasn't even trying to look good. Something tells me that what she was looking for is in fact to just do whatever she wants and then keep the case going out of spite, right? Like, I don't think she ever tells herself, well, I'm going to win this case. I don't know if she actually believes that. The reason for that is because she has already showed a propensity to lie, right? If you already showed that you have a propensity to lie about things, like your suicidality, I am also inclined to believe that you are lying about trying to win your court case. If that is true, then, and based on how fast they got the motion to hide the court transcript, you know, they are trying to drag out. They're trying to drag out the court case as much as possible to damage Stephen's reputation online. But yeah, I mean, it's just basically weaponizing the court to for spite, right? Can you TLDR? No.
Is it still direct examination? Yes. Wait, do Catbox files not open in Europe? I can't open this. Somebody said apparently Noel had said gobbling cock about me, and that's why the website went down. So it was about the gay video, not the, yeah. Destiny, she was going to say not exactly.
Jesus.
Oh, maybe. Maybe she was going to say not exactly, but instead she just said no. Maybe. Okay. Her lawyer asks, okay, I don't have any further questions at this time, Your Honor. Thank you very much. The judge says, thank you. Cross-exam? Andrew comes up. Thank you, Your Honor.
There's still quite a bit left? Yeah, I know.
My king, okay?
But I'm going to commentate for way longer, okay?
Good morning, Miss Doe. Good morning. When you first started communicating with Mr. Bunnell online,
You didn't stream?
you quickly, the court said, since we don't have a reporter, introduce yourself for the microphone for me. Andrew says, I'm sorry, I'm Andrew Brettler. I represent the defendant, Stephen Bunnell, Burke Brettler, LLP, in Los Angeles. Andrew, Miss Doe, when you first started communicating with Mr. Bunnell online, your conversation turned sexual at a pretty early point in your relationship, correct? I don't think so. I think it was a couple of months. Maybe you guys have the messages. He deleted all of mine, so I can't say 100% for sure, but I don't think it was pretty quick. Just to be clear, I can't delete her messages. That is not true. I can go right now on Discord and look, her messages are all still there. I don't know why she lies about this several times. She lies over and over and over and over and over about this. I can bring up on Discord.
Pull up the logs.
Well, I don't want to show anything because I don't know if there's like information that can't be published. But yeah, all of her messages are still here. So I don't know why she keeps saying this. I don't know why. I don't know why she says this. He deleted all mine, so I can't say 100% for sure, but I don't think it was pretty quick. Andrew says, on March 17th,
Welcome, Tier 1. Thank you so much, Ed.
2020, at 5 o'clock in the morning, you sent a message to Mr. Bunnell.
Is Foods wearing a scarf under a matching shirt collar, or is it all a scarf? No. Jacket? Shirt? The ribbons come with the shirt. Okay? It's a pretty old shirt at this point. Several years old.
Stating, I took some videos with a guy I can send you later if you're interested. Also, do you recall sending that message to Mr. Bunnell? I don't recall.
It's also pretty expensive. I think it was like $70 at the time. This shirt was like $70 at the time, just because the fabric. I think the fabric is of good make. The shirt is also of good make. Yeah.
But I'm going to assume that the message exists.
I'm a guy.
What? Fuck.
Ed, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Oh yeah, guys, please subscribe to Snack Markets, my second channel. Okay, link in the description below, or you can find it right here. Yeah. Oh, also join my Discord server, discord.gg/Foodshops. Thank you.
In response, Mr. Bunnell said, yes. At 5:01 a.m., you wrote, okay, I'll send them to you when I get home. Happy face, heart. Do you recall sending that message? I don't recall, but I assume it exists. You don't recall sending him a video of somebody else? I recall my former boyfriend, who I would refer to as that guy, a guy, didn't want me to send videos of us, like, experimenting and stuff like that. I can't
What?
verify, like, the
Why did
specificity
she
of the
say it
messages
like
because I
that?
don't have those messages. Wait, so her
Wait.
boyfriend didn't give? Wait, how did I miss this? Or maybe I wasn't...
Wait, I recall my former boyfriend, who I'd refer to as that guy, a guy. Oh, okay. She's like saying the different pseudonyms that she would refer to him by. Okay. They didn't want me to send videos of us like experimenting and stuff like that.
By the way, they haven't made him available for deposition either because we've asked for him because I would like to depose him and ask him questions about, like, just curious. Did you know that Pxie was sending videos of you guys, banging to famous streamers online? Do you have any idea about that? Did she talk to you about this? She talk about sending, I'm just curious.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting that she says here that he didn't consent to that. You didn't miss this before, you mentioned it after the court. Oh, maybe. Okay. Maybe it's been wiped from my mind. I can't verify, like, the specificity of the messages because I don't have those messages. The judge says, do you remember sending him of a video of some sexual encounter? Pxie says, yes. Andrew said, and I'm also getting there, Your Honor. Mr. Bonnell offered to send you videos of him and his wife if you wanted them. Do you recall that? Yes. Do you recall responding at 5:03 a.m. on March 17th, 2020? I'm open to anything you want to send me. You know I'm a super curious person. I think he is asleep, so you might have to wait for my videos until tomorrow. Do you recall sending that message? Again, I can't say specifics, but I'll assume it exists. Yes. Do you recall asking Mr. Bonnell, is there any particular photo or position you'd want to see me in? I assume that message exists, but I'm a little confused about what this line of questioning, like, do you recall saying to Mr. Bonnell, I'm with my guy friend right now, I can probably get a photo of me sucking him off if you think that would be hot.
By the way, I just want to say, when you're being questioned, you're not allowed to say, I believe you're not allowed to say anything else but yes or no, or like the answers to the question. I believe that, like, you are supposed to 100% like only answer to the question directly. You're not allowed to like try to dance around the question or to say anything else or act confused or do anything like that. Yeah, you're not allowed to do that.
I assume that message exists, but I don't know if I'm overstepping
Oh,
my
you
boundaries
shouldn't?
here or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, you
What
should,
does that
sure.
have to do with Mr. Bonnell sending my video to other people that
Hmm.
I didn't know? Miss Doe, do you recall on January 3rd of this year, January 3rd of 2025, where you posted online, I have never sent videos of other
For
people to
shadow
Steven,
shops?
ever.
Uh-oh.
One,
What happened?
I remember sending that to Dan Saltman in a private DM, and the context of that was Dan claiming that everybody in the sphere was non-consensually distributing materials of other people. So that was the context where I was thinking, like, no, the guy I had, my former boyfriend's consent, the only one person I was with before, moved to strike as non-responsive. My question, Ms. Doe, was, do you recall texting or posting online on January 3rd at 10:37 p.m.? I have never sent videos of other people to Steven, ever. I remember messaging Dan privately. It's very different than a social media post. Yes? Yes. The answer is yes. Move to strike everything after yes. I don't know if this means she said more here and it's just not on the transcript. I don't remember if she said more here. The answer is yes. Move to strike everything after yes. That wasn't a true statement, was it, Miss Doe? No, it wasn't. And then the judge stops. And who is this character? Dan. What is his name? Dan Saltman is one of the best friends of
my
Destiny,
God.
who's also a business partner with Destiny. They run a podcast together. He was going online claiming that everybody had
Cringe.
done what Steven had done, and that's when I messaged him. So you're responding to him? The judge asks. If it's stricken, it's not their Destiny. Okay. Sometimes she yaps a lot, and then my lawyer, Andrew, will just say, so the answer is this, strike everything from the record after. So I don't know if that shows up in here or not. I just thought those moments were very funny. I wish I could do that in a debate so much. This hearing was one of the things, and that lying about Hitler book was like, dude, court, where you have to ask and answer like in a straight line of questions and you can't pivot or divert or anything else. Oh my God, it's so nice. So the judge stops and asks, so your response,
Oh, he took my take. Kidding.
Dan Saltman. Pxie says, because I saw him on a podcast or on a stream and he was making those claims. And this was the 3rd, right? January 3rd? Can you confirm that? She asks Andrew. No? Okay. My lawyer
How's the transcript?
doesn't
Cinema.
have to give her anything, doesn't have to help her at all. And she's like trying to get help on the stand because she's... So the judge asks, what was the date of the communication? And so the judge can ask questions, okay? So the judge asks my lawyer, what was the date of the communication? And Andrew says, January 3rd, 2025, Your Honor. It's funny, it's actually a little bit like poker. You can ask a player, if you want to put them all in, what's your stack? What's your count? Sometimes you'll ask players to see how they answer. You can get information about how nervous they are, but the player doesn't have to actually answer you. You can ask, did you fold? You have 2 cards? Did you bet? How many chips you got? The player doesn't have to answer at all. You can ask the dealer, could I get a count of his chips? And the dealer can count them.
The stream was buggy? Wait, was the stream actually buggy?
It's kind of funny. There's like a similar setup here, but yeah.
Owned.
So this was still before I made my Substack, basically. I was still in a state of denial between when I first found out and between when I made my Substack. I was trying to downplay what happened as much as possible, claim that no, everyone's just confused, everyone's just wrong. The judge says, let me ask you this question. Prior to this point, had you already been engaging online with others about your problem? She says, yes. The judge says, how often? She says, to the people who would randomly send me DMs being like, this is you, I would try my best to deny it. The judge says, no, but on an online platform, in other words, on a more public platform. She says, oh, on a more public platform? No, I did not. I did not claim, make statements about it being me or anything like that. By the way, that's also a lie because she was posting about it in Spicy Chat and maybe other Discords, but I know at the very least in ChatLogic's Discord, she was posting comments about it there. But the judge says, okay. Andrew says, my lawyer, going back in time, do you remember when you messaged Mr. Bunnell in March of 2020? Did you get the video? I'm also open to any videos you want to send me in general. LOL. Objection, her lawyer says. Asked and answered. Relevance. The judge says overruled. Andrew says, as I said before, Pxie says, as I said before, I assume those messages exist. Andrew says, okay, and do you recall telling Mr. Bunnell after he expressed that he enjoyed watching your video, yeah, it felt really good when he was being dominant and making sure I was a good girl for him. And then her lawyer, objection, Your Honor, relevance. There's no doubt that this took place. The judge says, overruled. She says, yeah. Andrew says, do you...
Bitch, you literally stopped right before he's going to say it? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, you said pretty much.
recall responding that way? She says, I assume it exists. He says, okay. And do you recall telling Mr. Bunnell also around that time, haha, that's the whole thing, but I have another video of me in lingerie that won't send through here. And no worries, we can talk more about it tomorrow. She says, I assume it exists. He says, do you recall asking Mr. Bunnell also in March of 2019, do you have anywhere else you think the videos could send to? She says, I assume it exists. He said, my lawyer asks, you inquired whether or not he could send the videos to you via Instagram. Do you recall that? She says, yes. He asks, it was your idea, Miss Doe, to make a sexually explicit video with Mr. Bunnell, correct? She says, that I'm not completely sure of. He asks, on March 19th, 2020 at 5:12 in the morning, and then the judge stops again. The judge says, I thought you said that he suggested it. Did I misunderstand that? She says, no, I'm pretty, well, again, like, I don't have the messages. That's a lie. I don't have the messages, so it's pretty hard for me to recall exactly. I remember him sending me something of Melina's earlier on, and remember earlier she said, I don't know if it was Melina before or after we hooked up. Now she's saying it was before, okay? I remember him sending me something of Melina's earlier on, and me assuming, oh, like, do you want to make videos together as a response to that? But again, I don't have the messages. I can't recall perfectly, but that's, and then the judge says, it's possible that you brought up the topic of recording with him. And she says, it's possible. And the judge says, okay. Then my lawyer.
Okay, so if Pxie has brought up the fact that they should record it, and Pxie also doesn't have evidence that, like, she didn't ask her former boyfriend for permission to share the video, in addition to Pxie also knowing prior about the sexually explicit relationships that Destiny and Melina would get into, then I think that from that intuition, there should be implicit consent, right? Like with all the information provided, the greater context is like, oh yeah, they have implicit consent, right? That's the argument.
Lawyer says, not only is it possible, but on March 19th, 2020, at 5:12 in the morning, do you recall sending a message to Mr. Bunnell? It's going to be so nice when you do, ? Would you want to make some videos together? And Mr. Bunnell responding at 5:13, 1 minute later, if you want to, yeah, for sure. Do you remember that exchange? She said, yeah. And I remember before that was when he sent the stuff about Melina, but yeah, continue. And then Andrew says, so does that impact your testimony at all? That it was Mr. Bonnell's idea to make the video? Or do you now realize that you were the one that first raised the idea about making videos together? She says, what I claimed was that he sent me Melina stuff, and as a response to that, I was like, oh, do you want to make stuff together? Because I thought him sending Melina stuff was like, oh yeah, like, you know, he's into recording stuff. My question was, does it refresh your recollection that it was your idea to actually suggest making a video with Mr. Bonnell? I'm trying to think of how to phrase this in a way that makes sense. If I'm like, all right, I'll use this analogy. If I have like a cup of water and I drink it and I'm like,
Well, this entire, like, I feel like this entire thing is just incel bait. Like, I know it's kind of funny, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, well, incels don't actually believe what they believe. Well, the thing is that, like, I just feel as though, like, incels always base their, like, worldview off of something that it has a kernel of truth, right? In this instance, it's a whole entire corn cob of truth, okay? Because it's like Pxie is like every man's worst nightmare on God, okay? Like she is it. Like she is actually every man's worst nightmare. Like she is demon spawn, all right? Like she is it. Oh my god, dude. Crazy. Insane.
oh my God, you know, water is really cool. I love water. You know, water's awesome. And you go, oh, hey, do you want some water? Because you keep, you know, you sat here talking about water. Is it, okay, I'm not sure how to phrase this. The way that the judge interrupts her and he says, well, is it safe to say that you're not sure whether it was your idea or his initially? And she goes, yeah, because, and the judge says, that's fine. Next question. Andrew asks, the next question is, do you recall sending Mr. Bennett a subsequent message saying, do you want to take videos when we do stuff together?
Absolute cinema.
I think I'd really like one of you coming in me. She said, I assume that's true.
Just a drink.
The judge interrupts and goes, so this is in March 2020 or 2019? And then my lawyer responds, 2020, Your Honor. And the judge says, okay. So then the first video that you had with him is sometime thereafter, I take it? And then Pxie says, yes. And the judge says, okay. And then my lawyer asks, do you recall after the video was published on Kiwi Farms that you told Mr. Bonnell that it's not clear that it's your face or anything like that, and you're 100% denying that it's you in the video? Okay, so then the first video that you had with him is sometime thereafter, I take it? The judge asks. She said yes. The judge says, okay. Then my lawyer asked Mr. Bretler, oh, yeah. Oh, wait. Do you recall if the video was published? Okay, that you denied, 100% denying you. And then Pxie says, oh, yeah, I was in complete denial. I was like, oh, well, maybe people can't see my face. My face is clear as day in that video. And then she says, do you recall telling Mr. And then the judge interrupts again. And the judge says, when did you tell him this? I'm sorry, when was this exchange? And Pxie says, I believe immediately after I was getting messages from everybody telling me that I was in the video. And the judge says, so sometime in November or early December? And she says, yeah. And then Andrew answers, November 29th, Your Honor, the day after she claims to have identified the video. And then he asks, do you recall, Ms. Doe, that following the publication of the video on Kiwi Farms, that you created what's called a Substack page where you talked about this matter? And then she says, yes. And then the judge says, what's a Substack page? And then Pxie says, Substack is basically like a platform. It's kind of a social media platform where people post more like longer articles or statements or things of, I would even argue more of an academic nature than other platforms. The judge says, so it's not like for videos, it's for more articles or writings? She says, yes, yes. And he says, okay, and is this public? She says, yes. And he says, and do you create a profile just like you would for Instagram or something? She says, yes. And then my lawyer asks, and on your Substack page, you notified the world, or all of your followers at least, that have access to your Substack page about the existence of this video, correct? Somebody in chat said, looks like the judge is trying to make a timeline of events with dates. Yes. So one of the issues that I brought up like 8 months ago, there are these two concepts of like proximate harm and foreseeability, right? Let's say, for instance, that I leave a firearm. Let's say that I have a loaded firearm and I leave it in my house, okay? And let's say that a very close personal friend of mine, Empath Chan, okay?
Oh, one of my favorite birds just sent me something important. Hope Session by Jay Stelk. Absolute cinema. My number one bird. My number one bird just sent me hundreds of screenshots. No, dozens. Sorry, not hundreds. I'll take a look after.
Finds this gun, goes out and shoots and murders a bunch of people, okay? If that were to happen, I'm not liable at all for that. It's my house. Sure, it's a loaded gun, but like, this is not like, that's foreseeability.
No, not just little birds, okay? My number one bird, okay? My uno numero one, okay? My number one bird, okay? Excuse me? My number one bird, all right? I'm not talking about just any bird, okay? My number one bird, all right?
Is zero. That's not...
My raven, okay? Hugin, Minin, or Munin, whatever the fuck.
I didn't do this. And the proximate harm is she's the one that was the closest to causing that particular harm, right? That's on her completely. Now, let's say in another world, let's say that I load a firearm, okay? And I go to visit my girlfriend who's currently in daycare, okay? Because that's how young I love them, all right? And let's say that I drop this gun off. I just like put it in the middle of the floor while all these like 7-year-olds are playing with each other. And let's say that I walk away, right? Now, in that case, I think proximate harm might be on the child that picks up the gun and shoots somebody, okay? But for foreseeability there, well, it should be highly foreseeable that if I leave a loaded gun in front of a bunch of kids, that like somebody's gonna pick up the gun and do something horrible with it and kill people.
Yes.
So like I could be held more liable there. So foreseeability, proximate cause, these like types of concepts are really important when it comes to establishing fault or when it comes to establishing liability for particular damages. And one of my biggest claims from the very beginning of this case is basically all of the liability, I would argue, obviously in court, all of the liability is on Solo. This guy took these videos and posted them online. Nobody else did but him. He's the guy who would be, in terms of like harm or damages, it's all on him, right? You have a very, very, very hard time using a foreseeability argument here, and we'll get into this in the later part of this, trying to say that, well, hold on, you should know that if you send a video to somebody, it could leak, because wait a second, if that's going to be your argument that I should have foreseen that, then you should have foreseen that when you and me recorded stuff, you know? So it's a very, very, very difficult dance that they have to play here with arguments of foreseeability related to me, because they're going to have to try to make an argument that makes me liable that doesn't also spill over onto her. That's a very challenging thing to do, I would think, in a case like this. Now, that's assuming that they win, that the jury finds me liable and everything else, but that's a very, very difficult thing they're trying to walk. But that's also why, in my opinion, I think that's why they obfuscate on the timelines, on who leaked what, on who had permission for what, is because they're just trying to make all of it sound the same. That's why in Pxie's any proof of that, but they also haven't turned over any discovery related to her. Thanks, by the way. I think that Lauren Hayden was the one trying to float these arguments to her, but I don't think that that is a... Judge says, let me back up. When did you first create the Substack profile? Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. Hold on. Andrew, on your Substack page, you notified the world, or all of your followers at least, that have access to your Substack page about the existence of this video, correct? She says, I think notified kind of implies that they realized for the first time, and I don't think that's true at all. The judge says, let me back up. When did you first create the Substack profile? And she says, honestly, I can't remember, because I remember I created one a long time ago, because I was like, oh, maybe I want to start writing articles. I'll have it, but I'm not sure if that's the same account I created for this posting, so I can't really remember when. The judge says, okay, and can one make it public, or is it private, or is it automatically public? She says, you can actually do both. You can create private articles, save them in drafts, or you can publicize them. The judge says, and the one that relates to this after November 28th, did you make it public or private? Now, again, I can't speak to the judge's state of mind, okay? I'm not trying to put thoughts in his head, but my guess here is when somebody files one of these cases and they file as a Jane Doe, it's humiliating, okay? You don't want the whole world to know that there's porn images of you or porn videos of you on the internet. Most plaintiffs in these cases file under a Jane Doe because they don't want that shit to be out there publicly. And having somebody file as a Jane Doe, but also be making a ton of public writings attached to their entire online persona and attached to like videos of them and images of their face, that's incredibly strange, okay? It's a very weird thing to do.
Well, not just incredibly strange, it's extremely damning. It's extremely damning, right? I want you guys to think like this, okay? If let's just say that this video and my commentary just like goes in one ear out the other, okay? So you're not like listening all that much, okay? If there's anything I want you guys to focus on, if you're using this as white noise, is that why the hell would a suicidal woman amplify her issue by posting it all over Substack and trying to blow it up as much as possible and spreading that onto Spicy Chat and other platforms? If she was so emotionally distraught by it, if she was so traumatized by it, why would an emotionally distressed, traumatized, suicidal woman amplify the same suicidality, amplify all of these things, and then claim that emotional distress as a basis for why she is suing Destiny in court? Makes you think.
It's not very typical in these cases. So Pxie says, I made it public. And the judge says, okay. Andrew says, it was before you filed your lawsuit that you made it public, correct? She said, yeah, but I do want to point out, I feel like the claim, like, made it public. It was already public information. Like, what happened that day was two people. I'll start here. I found out that my best friend, and then Andrew says, Your Honor, there's no question pending. And the judge says, well, I'll let her answer. Go ahead. Andrew says, okay. Pxie yaps. I found out that my best friend had betrayed me and was sending my private messages with her regarding the situation to random other people online. And then those people, who I did not know, decided to make YouTube videos with those messages. And those YouTube videos were of defamatory nature. They claimed that I took hush money and that I was extorting Stephen and that I do not care about other victims. They were gaining tens of thousands of videos, or tens of thousands of views. At this point, on top of the YouTube videos, previous to me publishing the Substack, accounts with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of followers were publicly making fun of me on Twitter. They were, Pxie, ew, your sex tape got leaked. That's quite the L. A whole bunch of stuff.
Oh my god. White woman trauma dumping. What next is new? I'm a feminist, okay? I'm a strong feminist. I'm a hardcore feminist. I call Asmongold out for his sexist name-calling of white women whenever he calls them Karens. But this is not helping, okay?
So it was after the combination of having these accounts, making fun of me over the tape, and then having the YouTube videos that were gaining tens of thousands of views of my private messages lying about me, that I felt compelled to publish my Substack and clarify that no, I didn't take hush money, I was not extorting Stephen, and I do care about other victims. So that's why I take issue with the whole idea of, you publicize.
You know what, just keep in mind, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, right? Yeah, I think this is a pretty good demonstration of that. Yeah, this case is going to create like 50 more incels.
It because it was already public. People were already talking about it. I just said the truth and defended myself. So as a thing here, Pxie is lying about this because in President Sunday's video, you can see in their leaked DMs that 7 days at least prior to her publishing the Substack, she already had that full Substack written out. Now, in the operative complaint and in her original complaint, operative means the currently active one or the first one, whatever. In her original complaint and the amended complaint, and in statements she's made publicly, Pxie keeps claiming that she had to publish this Substack publicly because of all the other videos that had went live about her. But if you look at
Foods does not respect women. My respect for you is not a right. It's a privilege that you have to earn. It's a privilege granted to you, and it can be taken away.
the leaked DMs in President Sunday's video, she had already had that full Substack written out a week earlier. She was always planning on publishing it. That's a lie that she tells in this hearing, and it's a lie that she tells in multiple court filings. The judge says, were you concerned, though, that by doing that, you were only making the story even bigger? Because then more people would try to find your video. So now remember, the judge is asking this because in most of these cases, the plaintiffs are not trying to publicize every single thing about them online. That's crazy. Most women find this stuff humiliating. They don't want everybody to know who they are, that their face is like attached to things, that it's just very atypical. She says, I thought about that, and that's why I specifically put two things. I put nudes because I thought people were less likely to search up the video, but then on top of that, it was already in motion. What do you mean, put nudes? She says, instead of saying my video, the video, a video, I said, oh, he disseminated nudes. And then, well, I see. In other words, you didn't put images of yourself, you referred to them as that. Okay. She said, yes, I said the nudes. The judge says, okay. And she says, and then also, I never mentioned what websites they were hosted on specifically. So I just said, like, you know, he sent it online. Now keep in mind, in her complaint and the amended complaint, she does list all of the fucking websites. Good. Good one, Chief. Nice. And also at this point in time, the machine was already running. I guess is the best way I can say it. This is also a lie. Most people were just talking about the gay videos that had leaked of me, and that's it. Nobody was talking about nobody outside of like KF even really knew that Pxie was involved. It was just, but whatever, she can lie here, I guess. The videos were gaining so much traction, and people were just repeating what was on those videos that I felt like, okay, either I can make a statement now and defend myself before everybody believes these lies, or I can stay quiet and do nothing and hope it will go away, but it's not going away. It's been 2 months. It's been 2 months since the original.
Yeah, no shit. It was because of your stupid fucking Substack. That's why. The entire point, dude. The entire point is that it was your stupid fucking Substack that caused that in the first place. Right? This is the Streisand effect in action. You're asking for the Streisand effect to not happen, but the Streisand effect does the Streisand, whether or not you effectuate it or not. All right? Bars. Okay.
Leaks. People are still talking about it. People are still harassing me. And now I have these videos gaining like thousands of views. And, you know, either I can do my best to protect what little I have left, or I can stay quiet and then the judge interrupts and says, did you make an effort to, after November, before you did your own Substack, did you make an effort to take down the videos off the Kiwi thing? Is there a process where you can communicate with Kiwi to take down things that are improper? She said, so I was in communication with Steven beforehand, and he told me that he had hired a legal firm who was dealing with that stuff. So in my head, I was like, okay. The judge said, he was doing it. She said, yes, Steven was dealing with the Kiwi.
This is Game of Thrones. Holy cow, dude. This is the biggest throw. This is it. Like out of all the throws that have been presented, like in my opinion, this is it. Like this is the biggest throw. That's crazy, dude. AP Lease, thank you so much. Oh, wait, no, not AP Lease. Fuck me. A pleasant emu. Thank you so much for a 25 PLN. I appreciate that. It is wild to me that you literally admitted to the judge, to his face, that Steven was trying to get the videos removed from Kiwi Farms. How could you throw like that? You should have lied. You should have lied, okay? Oh my god, it would have been probably illegal, but you should have lied. Holy cow. That's your entire case, you moron. It shows that he's been trying to help you since the beginning.
Farm legal team. When it came to other websites, and I had a conversation with Steven about this, I was submitting basically Google request forms and like
the judge sounds
forms
confused.
to those websites as well, personally, just trying to be like, oh no, this non-consensual revenge porn, please take it down. So I was making those efforts beforehand as well. And the judge says, thank you. And since you bring it up, okay, now my lawyer is asking again. And since you brought it up, Ms. Doe, about the idea of extortion, do you recall messaging Mr. Bonnell? I feel that whatever I ask you to cover will be too high a price, and then I'm even going to feel worse over it. Now, it's interesting, by the way, that she says yes here, because this is a message that she deleted from our DMs that they have not been able to reproduce. By the way, they keep accusing me of spoliation. That's her engaging in spoliation, because she deleted this message right before she sent me a letter on the 20th, or the 23rd is when I got it, I think, for which was a request for the preservation of evidence, basically notifying me, hey, there's going to be a lawsuit. You better not delete shit because you're going to be in trouble for it. She deleted shit and then sent me that letter. So it's funny that this is the only message she seems to be able to recall, but it's the one message in our DMs, I think. Well, there might have been more she deleted and I just don't know about it. Yeah. And then her lawyer says, objection, Your Honor. There's no extortion reference in the record, so I object to the form. Andrew, my lawyer, says, she opened the door, Your Honor. The judge says, I didn't understand your question anyway, so I'll sustain. Ask another one. Andrew says, I'll withdraw it for now. I'll come back. Andrew says, in addition to your Substack, and then the judge says, it's got to follow all the particulars in fairness. And then Andrew says, I understand, Your Honor, and I will be more clear. The judge says, okay. Andrew, in addition to your Substack, did you create a what's called Give Send Go, Go Send Go account to promote your lawsuit against Mr. Bunnell? She says, a Go Send Go? He says, correct. She says, I made a Give Send Go. He said, Give Send Go. She said, yeah. And Andrew says, okay. And then the judge says, how do you spell that? Andrew says, give, G-I-V-E, send, S-E-N-D, go, G-O. And then Andrew says, and Give Send Go is similar to a GoFundMe page, correct? She said, yes. And he said, and the purpose of you creating this Give Send Go page was to raise money to pursue a legal claim against Mr. Bunnell, correct? Yes. And on your Give Send Go page, you linked to your Substack post in which you described your version of the situation, correct? Yes. And to date, how much money have you raised from your Give Send Go page?
Yikes.
Her lawyer, objection, Your Honor. It's outside the scope of the direct, and it's completely irrelevant to what we're talking about here today. The judge asks Andrew, how is it relevant? Andrew says, how is it relevant, Your Honor? She has been promoting this lawsuit and claiming that this has cost her so much money that other people are learning of the lawsuit from Mr. Bunnell when really she's hosting a fundraising page, trying to raise money, and continues to raise money. And I think it's important to see how much money has come in and when that money has come in. Judge says, it's relevant to ultimately damages, but for the purposes of an injunction hearing, which prong is it relevant to? Andrew says, I think it goes to irreparable harm, Your Honor. She's continuing to publicize the fact that the video exists, that she has a lawsuit that's pending against Mr. Bunnell in federal court, and she's publicizing that fact and trying to raise money for it. I'll move on if the court, and then...
Yes, oh my god. That's my lawyer. That's our lawyer, okay? That's our fucking lawyer. Holy shit. Absolute cinema lawyer. Holy cow. So the judge says it's relevant to ultimately damages, but for the relevant of an injunction hearing, which prong is it relevant to? Like, basically the judge is asking, why are you bringing up the GoFundMe? Why are you bringing this up? Why are you bringing up the GoFundMe? Right? Like, what is the point of bringing this up? Or trying to go along with this, like, line of questioning, or this line of, like, whatever is, like, being brought up, right? And Brettler says it goes to irreparable harm. Why? Because... You mean Go Send Go? Shut the fuck up. Because if you create a GoFundMe for your court case, doesn't that show that you are trying to amplify the issue by making that in the first place? Because that's another, like, spoke on the wheel of, all right, why are you bringing so much attention to your own fucking issue, right? Second of all, why are you pursuing this case in the first place if you already had the means to raise this much money? If you already had, like, you could have just said, hey, give me money because you feel bad for me, right? But that wouldn't be a good excuse, would it? Yeah, she's publicizing that fact and trying to raise money for it. Exactly.
And the judge says, I'll sustain the objection as to the relevance of the amount, but not as to the, and then Andrew says, the existence of the site, and the judge says, exactly. Now remember, the judge apparently found this irreparable harm claim relevant because this was one of the bases that they denied the preliminary injunction. Ultimately, what this hearing is about was denied in whole, right? And remember, what we're saying with irreparable...
Just remember, okay, there was nothing stopping Pxie from making a live stream, boosting her numbers because, like, everyone's going to be in the live stream. Like, because all eyes are going to be on her during that time period, right? Like, nothing was stopping her from making a live stream, which would then have lots of people donating, like, fuck tons of super chats, right? She has a channel that is likely monetized, that is likely has 8,000 subscribers, right? She could have used this tragedy to her advantage by trying to farm as many super chats from that stream as much as possible, probably thousands of dollars, right? People would probably donate thousands of dollars. Now, with that being said, why is it the case that she didn't do that, right? Because that would not put Steven in the crosshairs. That would not make Steven suffer, right? So if, like, just know that her entire story is inconsistent if you're trying to analyze it from an angle where where she felt genuinely harmed, where she felt as though that like Stephen was genuinely trying to be malicious or something. Like from that angle, that makes no sense. However, if you analyze this from the angle of, okay, well shit, it seems as though that you're just being spiteful and evil. Well, now everything else just makes sense, right?
Harm here is if Pxie's saying he published bad videos of me, I need to raise money to make myself whole again.
You're just salty because I called you out in DMs, okay? I know what you're trying to do.
Can't really claim irreparable harm for the videos continuing to be published, because if it was irreparable and you're saying publicly I can be made whole again if I get money, well, that's kind of contradictory, you know? It can't be both, you know?
It says co-run by editors on a Substack profile. If only that's true.
Andrew, question. And when you created that Give Send Go page, Miss Doe, you created it using your legal name, didn't you? She said, no, I originally created it using my friend's name, Lauren, by the way. She allowed me to use it to be able to retrieve, yeah, originally it was created in my friend's name. And Andrew says, and it stated on the page that all proceeds would go to.
Yeah, I mean, this just kind of makes me think, I mean, that, like, this just kind of makes me think that, like, oh yeah, maybe there is, like, some kind of, collaboration between, Lauren De Laguna and Pxie, right?
Your legal name, which I'll leave off the record here. Is that correct? And she says, so what happened? And then he says, yes or no. She says, it's more complicated than just yes or no. He says, but it's a yes or no question. She said, no, it's not a yes or no, okay? What happened, I created the name under my friend's name, and then the website didn't tell me that it would do this, but they said, okay, put your name, like your bank account information, your name to receive the funds. But when I did that, it published it temporarily for a short time onto the page. And when I realized that, I contacted GiveSendGo and I was like, hey, I don't want my name on there. Like, you know, can you change it? And then they adhered and they changed it. So it wasn't that I created this knowing my legal name was going to be attached to that. I was under the impression that it would just be my friend's name. And then the judge asks, because you weren't allowed to use a fake name like your online name? And then Pxie says, no, because it was for the bank account information, and that's when they put my legal name. And when I contacted them and I was like, hey, like, it's really important for me to not have my name on there, that's when they publicly changed the name back to my pseudonym. The judge said, okay. Andrew says, so you were allowed to use your pseudonym, correct? She said, not initially, no. It was only after I contacted the website and told them, like, hey, like, I didn't know that when I put my bank account information, that means that you would have, like, put my name there too. Like, please, can you change it to something else? And they were like, okay, we'll change it. So it wasn't originally an option for me. He said, my lawyer asks, you had a Blue Sky social account too, correct? She says, yes. And that's similar to an X or a Twitter account. Yes. And on Blue Sky Social, you publicized the fact that you would be suing Destiny in federal court and linked to your Substack and your GiveSendGo page, correct? Yes. Yeah. And you did that before filing this lawsuit, correct? Yes. You've submitted hundreds of pages of evidence in this case. Do you have any evidence that Mr. Bennell transmitted your video, the video of you two, of you engaging in consensual sex after October of 2022? Abby MC's affidavit. Where is Abby MC? She lives outside of Florida. Has she produced a single document to demonstrate that the video was transmitted to her after the effective date of the federal statute under which you are suing Mr. Bonnell? Yeah, when she originally received the videos, she had messaged her friend shortly thereafter in 2023. You know, Destiny sends me these videos thinking, I don't know who these girls are, but I do. It's Cherry and Pxie. He should really be more careful. And then the judge interrupts and says, and how do you know this? And Pxie says, I know this because Abby submitted the messages to us in evidence. And then Andrew asks, and there's not a single message attached to Abby MC's declaration that reflects that the transmission of the video was made after the effective date of the statute, correct? The judge says, do you know what the effective date of the statute is? Andrew says, let's say October of 2022. Somebody in chat just said, Destiny, your haters moved on from the case. They call you a pedophile now because the roasting is way more spicy and damaging their eyes. I understand that. Give it a month or two, and that's all I can say about that, okay?
Ooh.
I can confidently say that every single claim made about that is incorrect, though. I'll just say that. Let's say October 2022. And then
Uh-oh.
from the 2022. Somebody in chat just said, Destiny, your haters moved on from the case. They call you a pedophile now because the roasting is way more spicy and damaging their eyes. I understand that. Give it a month or two, and that's all I can say about that, okay? I can confidently say
again, to me at the very least, like he doesn't need to disprove anything, right? Does that make sense? His haters, in my opinion, if you really want to like put him as guilty or as like a pedophile or as a predator or something like that, like first of all, okay, like for the record, okay, I know it's kind of like a meme to try to litigate this term, right? What does pedophile mean? It means that someone who is attracted to rectangles, okay? If you're a pedophile, you're attracted to a rectangle. You're attracted to a prepubescent kid, all right? The more rectangle somebody is, the more attracted to you, like to them you are, right? Like the less basically secondary sexual characteristics, the more lacking in secondary sexual characteristics they have, the more you're whatever. Yeah, I don't know. So that's the first thing, okay? The second thing is that like the second thing is knowing, right? Did Steven know at the time? Was Steven deliberately seeking out like minors nudes at the time? Was he trying to hit up minors on purpose and trying to lure in minors on purpose in order to obtain their nudes? Right? That's a yes or no question. And the people making that claim should have the evidence for that. With that being said, on the contrary, there is counter evidence to that. What I'm specifically referring to is when Destiny was asking Rose whether or not like she is able to accompany him in terms of like talking about his depression. Nothing sexual during that conversation at the very least. And basically what that was Destiny trying to say like, yeah, I know that, you know, you're 19, right? Indicating that at the time, he believed that she was 19, not 17, because she lied about her age, right? So again, what that means is that Steven thought that she was a legal adult, and it's really as simple as that, right? Yeah, that's it.
That every single claim made about that is incorrect, though. I'll just say that.
Oh yeah, finally, another thing is that it's kind of funny how anti-fans will just like deny this or something, I don't know, or will just like brush this part aside. But it seems kind of crazy to me that on a case that has nothing to do with Rose, you would celebrate so much about having like just essentially just straight up defamation, I guess, like legal defamation by having the Rose shit being brought up in the Pxie case that has like no bearing on the lawsuit whatsoever, with details that has no bearing on the lawsuit, that put Rose in a really bad position as well, right? If she wants nothing, like if she wants nothing to do with the case, you just put her in the spotlight again, which is especially disgusting, right? And this isn't the first woman that Pxie has done this to, or Pxie's team has done this to. Like Melina is another thing, right? If we consider Abby to be so mentally deficient as to not be able to give consent, which by the way is not a meme, because apparently I have been told that Abby's friends has considered that she was brain damaged from a car accident that she had when she was driving her ex-boyfriend's car, when she stole her ex-boyfriend's car or something, and then drove it into like, I don't know, like, and had a car accident with it. In that case, then in my opinion, if it's true, then basically Pxie is like leveraging, like Pxie is just straight up leveraging a mentally ill woman for her own grotesque ends, and without blurring her name. So keep in mind that this mentally ill woman, okay, who probably has like chronic, like whatever the fuck disease, okay, is being leveraged without protection of privacy, without being named as Jane Doe for Pxie's own advantage, okay, which is pretty fucking fucked up, okay? But yeah, like there's multiple parts of this where Pxie, in her like stated reasoning, where she says that she is fighting on behalf of women, right? That she also like, because she cares about like not doing the, she doesn't want Steven to do the same, right? Ironically enough, has done the same to many other women. So disgusting.
Let's say October 2022. And then Pxie says, I believe that just timeline-wise, Abby didn't meet him until 2023, so it would not have been possible for her to send those messages before 2023. And then Andrew says, my question to you is, did you submit any evidence reflecting the transmission of a video after October of 2022 from any witness, Abby MC, or anyone else? Do you have any evidence
my god, wait, hold on. If one of my editors is like taking care of this video, could I just like react to the entire thing tonight and just leave it behind me, and then I can cover everything else later? I could probably do that, right? Okay, I'll see if I can finish this entire thing tonight, okay? But we'll probably speed it up to 1.25. But yeah,
at all, other than what you were speculating, that Mr. Bunnell
all right, you guys got lucky, okay? You guys get like 2 more hours of content.
transmitted your video after October of 2022. Her lawyer objects. Objection. Calls for legal conclusion. Andrew says, I'm asking if you have any evidence. That's all. The court says, overruled. So then Andrew asks again, then Pxie says, does the affidavit not count as evidence? She asks the judge. The judge says, it counts. And then she looks to Andrew and she says, so yes. And Andrew says, you have a statement. Do you have any documentation? She said, that's documentation. He says, do you have any evidence demonstrating a transmission of a video from Mr. Bunnell to any third party in the world?
Remember to subscribe to my second channel, Snack Markets. I want to get that channel monetized ASAP. I need at least 500 subscribers. Just so then I can onboard my editor for that channel, my planned editor for that channel at the very least. So then they are able to produce Slop as soon as possible, and I don't have to produce the fucking various clips, okay? Good thing is that from this stream, I don't think there is any Slop channel videos, right? Just mainly because just mainly because this entire thing is like absolute cinema, like very important, blah 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 blah, right? So there's no Slop to like.
What?
Yo, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs, Ed. Yeah, but I mean, there's no Slop tonight. So like it's basically all quality. So there should be nothing from this live stream at the very least appearing on the second channel. But all of this should be on the first channel, okay? But yeah, anyway.
After October of 2022. Her lawyer objects. Objection, Your Honor. Asked and
Slop
answered.
shop?
She's
No,
already said there's
Snack
evidence, and there are
Markets.
statements, and they're part of the record. The judge says, sustained. She says, so, and then Andrew says, you don't have to answer. The next question. Mr. Bretler says, do you recall publishing on social media in April of this year that your goal here is to bankrupt Mr. Bunnell? She said, I don't think I said bankrupt.
Yikes.
He said, okay, what word do you think you used? She said, can you just read me I can't remember what word just read me what I wrote supposedly, or, and then Andrew cuts her off and says, has there been any instance since this lawsuit has been filed where Mr. Bunnell, will you have any proof whatsoever that Mr. Bunnell has transmitted the video to any third party? Objection, judge asked and answered. Andrew says, no, it's a different question. Andrew says, since the lawsuit was filed, do you have any evidence that Mr. Bunnell has transmitted the video to any third person? Her lawyer objects again. Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered. It's the same question. Andrew says, it's not the same question. The judge says sustained on a different basis, and then my lawyer says, can I get some guidance? What's the basis for the objection? The judge says, I think she's already talked about that, so if you want to ask about a more specific thing, that's fine with me. For example, have you seen any transmission yourself or record of a transmission as opposed to what somebody's told you that evidence Mr. Bunnell sending a video after October of 2022? Have you seen anything? And then Pxie says, I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if he was going to ask that again. Okay. And then this message here, guys, I have not seen the video.
Foodshops is a good one. Right now it's Snack Markets, but like... But I can change to Foodshops if we wanted enough, okay? Maybe I'll make a poll on my main channel.
Him sending the video.
Who knows?
So Andrew says, no further questions, Your Honor. So just to be clear, this is in June of this year. This would be, June is a 6 month, right? 4 months after the court case has been filed, 5 months after her Substack was posted.
Too confusing.
And maybe 8 months after it was posted online.
Foodshops?
She does not have, they
it
do
probably
not
is.
have a
Like, Snack Markets is a more discernible name than Foodshops, right? Because the thing is that if you say Foodshops really fast or Foodshops really fast, then they can blend into one and you wouldn't know what the fuck is being said, right? So I get the practical, I get the utility, like, deficiency of that one.
single piece of evidence showing me sending this video to fucking anybody. They have absolutely fucking nothing. None of this. Not the 15 women that came forward, nobody, because it has not fucking happened. All of this is fucking bullshit, okay? And they admit it right fucking here.
Yeah, and they were likely just trying to fish for evidence during the discovery phase. Like, they were trying to hope that more women came forward in order to support their case, but that's not how you're supposed to do it. You're not supposed to use the federal process as a way to fish for an actual case. You should have already had a case beforehand, and if anybody comes forward in the middle, then you can use that. Does that make sense? So you should already have the case with all the evidence that you think you're going to have to prepare beforehand. You're not supposed to do you, like when you start, okay?
Okay?
Hello, Matt.
But this is one of the reasons why it's so annoying in all their motions when they keep saying, like, Discovery, we're so early in Discovery. What's so early in Discovery? No, we're not. We're done with Discovery. On my end, they haven't given me anything, but we're done with Discovery on my end. They're just mad because they haven't found they don't have anything. They haven't found any evidence, and they keep like they're trying to dig through all of my shit, and they
Um, not to glaze, not to glaze Destiny a little bit, but like, fuck, I'll glaze him just a little bit, okay? Um, I think it's especially telling that after all those years of like tons and tons of hookups and like I'm talking about almost like a decade, like or more of like constant hookups, right? That after Pxie enters into something like this, you would expect like 10 other BBD girls from Steven's past, right? 10 years to pop up in this lawsuit in order to spite Steven, right? But it's kind of surprising to me that even among the last like decade of all of this happening, that not a single one has come forward to add their name to the docket, other than Abby MC. But the thing is that for Abby MC, like she is brain damaged, right? So you can take advantage of her. Like who else is like contributing to this? That like from a woman that Steven fucking hates? Brittany Simon, no. Lavloon, no. Melina, no. Rose, no. There's, which makes you think that like it kind of gives me an indication that the way that Destiny conducts himself with women typically is pretty damn careful. Okay, typically is most of the time pretty careful. Probably like trying to be nice about it, trying to make sure everything is okay, like at every step, right? To like basically the safe way to do hookups, right? So yeah. Oh, sorry, Lauren De Laguna, guys, but. Yeah, I don't know. Lauren De Laguna is also insane, okay? But, like, I'm just saying, that's, like, what, 3 people out of, like, 100? Like, 3 people out of 100 women? I don't fucking know. Jesus.
yeah, they're mad. Okay, redirect is I think her lawyer can come up and ask her questions again. I believe. Her
Like, some people have dated once, and their ex-girlfriend, like, is doing some crazy shit that they are not guilty of, right? Does that make sense? Like, some people date once, and their ex-girlfriend is fucking crazy. That won't leave them alone. Where's the other 10 or 20? From Steven's side.
lawyer comes up. Mr. Butler asked you about the goals of your lawsuit. He asked you whether the stated goal of your lawsuit is to bankrupt Mr. Bonnell. Why did you bring this lawsuit? I brought this lawsuit because I'm under the impression that Destiny is going to continue sending people's intimate images and pornographic content without consent. I think I have good reason to believe this. I think unless he faces some level of consequences, I think that's what he's going to keep doing. I think he thinks that he's invincible, legally and socially. He's talked multiple times about how he gets a competitive high from people trying to ruin his career and trying to ruin his life, and how he continues to seek that. And I honestly think that if nobody tries to bring him to justice, or if nobody tries to do something about his current actions, he's just going to do it for perpetuity. It's not going to end. It's never going to stop. By the way, I like how she sounds like literally spite-driven as fuck here, but okay. It's never going to stop. And I can't. Like, the reason why I was originally suicidal was the idea that he would just continue to keep doing this. And I honestly, like, even if I lose, like, I don't think I could live with myself, like, thinking, like, oh, I had a chance to stop him. I had a chance to do something to make sure this didn't happen again, to stop other women from being hurt, and I did nothing. You were asked about your GiveSendGo account. Are you personally wealthy? No. Can you afford to pay lawyers hundreds of dollars per hour to prosecute your case for you? No. That's crazy. Then who's paying for it? Who's paid for it up to this point? Because her legal fees are definitely in excess of 100K. And she only raised 50K on the Substack. What's she doing now? I don't think she works. She obviously doesn't stream or anything. What's she doing? Really makes you wonder.
People don't really care about this subject. I get it, okay? I think I'm like the only one that cares about this subject. So again, I kind of get it. But again, like I'm just bothered by the $50,000 just fucking disappearing. Okay, I'm sorry, that's insane to me. Yeah, I just don't think she should be allowed to get away with that. Whatever, I get it.
Andrew, Your Honor, I object. If they wouldn't let me go into how much money she's raised,
okay.
Her financial situation is completely irrelevant. The judge says overruled. Lawyer says she did. The judge said she can answer. She said no. And then her lawyer asks, as far as dissemination of the video after October 2022, there is a dispute as to whether or not the actual initial showing of the video occurred on October 4th, 2022 or April 10th, 2022. Are you aware of that? She said, yeah. And he said, okay. And could you explain that a little bit for the court's edification of what the dispute is about?
It's crazy how this was your point early on and everyone discredited your point. Yeah. I remember when I remember when I was debating the anti-fans and I said that, oh yeah, like don't you guys give a fuck about like the money that she supposedly raised for like the lawsuit, and that like she hasn't produced the evidence for how it's going or how she's using that money. And I remember like Mrao and like Purple Parrot and all these like fucking Queen and losers are basically saying like, oh yeah, isn't the lawsuit ongoing? Isn't the lawsuit ongoing? Who are you to decide, like, how that money is used right now? Obviously, because the lawsuit is not over, she can't provide any evidence, right? And I'm like, dude, what? She can't even produce, like, a single shred of evidence? Not even a single strand? Not even a little bit? Like, you're not concerned about that? When all I know is that you cared about when Keffels was raising $100,000 for her lawsuit or something like that, but you don't care about this one, and they're like, well, because she never filed the lawsuit in the first place. What? So you're saying that if Keffels filed a fucking lawsuit against the fucking Ontario police, was it Toronto or Ontario? It doesn't matter. Okay, same city. But like, if she filed a police, right, or whatever the fuck, are you saying that like, you would just then be okay with not seeing any receipts? Really? I don't know. Pretty crazy.
Andrew says objection, vague and ambiguous, and calls for a narrative. The judge says, how is she going to know this, sir? Lay a foundation for that. And then her lawyer says, okay, do you know when purportedly this video was shared with Rose? Now remember, in their own evidence, they have submitted European formatted dates, meaning some of the dates look like, some of the dates will look like 27/01/2022 or 2023, right? So unless they think there are 27 months in the year, it's clearly in day, month, year format, like very clearly and obviously. They're just pretending that it's like, they're pretending that there's some ambiguity here. There's not, it's bullshit, okay? She says, I don't know the exact date.
Pretending that there is ambiguity in your fucking like key evidence is crazy to me. But yeah, whatever. I mean, we can just like keep on brushing that aside, like how we brushed aside like 50 other points and inconsistencies and crazy shit. Like this is supposed to be your key evidence, and you don't even know like what format. You can't even establish what format it's fucking in when that's like one of the most important parts of the entire fucking case. It is like the daytime format, right? And which format it's in. If it's in European time format, you're supposed to show that it's in European time format and why it's in European time format and provide proof that it's in European time format. If it's in American time format, aka the right format, then you should provide evidence and you should provide proof that it's in American time format, okay? But this like wishy-washy, oh, this may or may not be European or may or may not be American is ridiculous to me. Like to me, that's unhinged. That's unacceptable. And yeah, this is just very shameful behavior, in my opinion. Yeah, like literally nobody will say like, oh yeah, well, I mean, one date format could literally just be, it could absolve Destiny of all the evidence, could absolve Destiny completely because, you know, this case wouldn't apply anymore. And then, oh, wait, hold on. But if it's this format, that means we have a case. What, dude? What the fuck? That, proving that should be on you, motherfucker.
I saw the leaked messages, and it seems like the messages were, the way I read them, was October 4th, 2022. But their side is saying, oh no, it's the dates were reversed. It's European time or something. It was actually April 4th, 2022. So, and then the judge interrupts her and says April 10th. And she says, April 10th. So I don't really know, like, we would have to verify that information. And then her lawyer says, okay, but that information is information that you had gleaned from the actual posts themselves, correct? Yes. And you reviewed those posts, correct? Yes. By the way, the reason why this matters so much is because the law that she's suing me under wasn't active until October of 2022. It wasn't active in April of 2022. So that's why she has to run with this lie in the hopes that in the course of this case, she'll be able to find more evidence and send this video to anybody, because without it, her case is dead in the water. Because ignoring even if I would win on the merits or if we would dismiss it some other way, the fact of the matter is she can't even get this case off the ground because this law wasn't even operating when she's trying to claim when the initial video was sent. So that's why the date on this is so important, okay? And the timeline of October 4th is temporally close to the time that the videos were ultimately posted. She said, yes. That's not true. Wait, she said, sorry, can you repeat? I said, yes. You said temporally close to the times the videos were posted. He said, correct. She said, so you mean they were just close, right? He said, yes, we'll move on. Oh, this is not true. That timeline on October 4th, 2022 is temporally close to when the videos were ultimately posted. No, the videos were ultimately posted in 2024, November. So they're either lying here or her attorney is lost. Her attorneys don't do a great job on a lot of this. But also she has a bullshit case. So like it's hard to figure out like, is she losing because she has bad lawyers or is it because it's a bullshit?
Bro, dude, this entire transcript so far gives me the delusion, the absolute delusion that I can be a better lawyer for Pxie than Pxie's lawyers. I'm sorry, okay? Like this gives me, oh my God, like this gives me the absolute fucking delusion, okay? This gives me the delusion that I can do this better than like Pxie's lawyers on God, okay? No law school, no law classes, no bar exam. All right, fucking raw dog, ChatGPT, Wikipedia, and Google search. All right, like this entire fucking case on God. Okay. Oh my God, it's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing.
Okay, it's kind of like a thing that is it's like a mutually exclusive thing. Like some people will complain that she had bad lawyers, and that's kind of true. But that's because no good lawyer would take this case because it's a bullshit case. They know it is. That's why the first two law firms that she contacted both told her no.
Yes, you have a chance.
Case here. So the only lawyer
Good
she was ever
luck,
going to find for
Radiant.
this would be
Hopefully you win your unemployment case.
bad, in my opinion, a law firm not qualified to do this level of litigation, or at least this subject matter or area of law. I guess I don't know. So her lawyer says, yes, we'll move on. As far as your Substack, why did you post a Substack? She said, there's a variety of reasons why I decided to post to Substack. I posted the Substack because people were, and the videos were gaining traction, ones that contained blatant lies about me and were defamatory in nature. So, one, I felt like I had to defend myself and tell people the truth. Destiny, do you think she's lying to her lawyers? She could be. I don't know if she would or not. But then again, you could have asked me beforehand, and I would say, Pxie's like the last person in the universe in my life that I would ever expect to do anything like this. So.
Stephen, okay. Your Honor, because my employer has gone to my house and fucked my mom, and then fired me afterwards, I believe is a silencing tactic to prevent me from speaking out the truth that he fucked my mom. I have the pregnancy papers to show for it.
So what the fuck do I know? Now everybody keeps accusing me of lying to my lawyers, so who knows, you know?
Stephen is like, I'm going to give you a new brother. And you're like, oh!
2, I did have to find a way to gain some level of legal funds if I wanted to pursue this legally because I was told that cases like this can get really expensive. And 3, I wanted people to know the truth. I wanted people to know that what Stephen did to me and to other women was unacceptable, and I wanted to be the last person that he ever decided to do this to. And then the judge says, and remind me, when was this Substack created? She said...
The judge is probably like, oh my God, this is unhinged. And then the judge goes home to his wife and he's like, bro, honey, you won't believe what the fuck I heard in court today.
The Substack was created January 20th. Like, that's when the post was. When I posted the account, the judge said, and when did you file the lawsuit?
Dungeon.
Illuminator, thank you for renewing your membership automatically on Kick.
She said February 20th, I believe. And the judge says, about a month before the lawsuit? And she says, yes. And then her lawyer says, since the lawsuit, have you posted on Substack? No. Have you made any commentary on social media about this case since the inception of the lawsuit? Yes. And when was that? And what was it in reference to? I don't know why her lawyer would ask this question to get us on the record. I think it just makes her look bad, but okay. I don't remember all the exact dates of the social media posts. Also, you should know in advance what your lawyer's going to ask you about. Why don't you have these dates memorized? You are allowed to confer with your client about what you're going to, talk about beforehand. You can't coach the witness. You can't tell your client, answer like this, say this, do this. But like, she should know what the question would be. It's like she did no fucking prep whatsoever for any of this case. Like, it's all just a fucking big meme. I don't remember all the exact dates of the social media posts, but I remember when we were able to get the seals, I posted that online telling people like, hey, like we're able to like seal some of these things. Like, this is something that's possible for us to do. The reason why I did that was because there's a lot of women who are really scared of coming forward or to speak anything about relating to this. They're afraid of getting harassed. They're afraid of getting doxxed. So I thought that was very important information to post. When you posted, this is her lawyer, when you posted on Substack, did you use your real name or did you use your handle? She said handle. He says, Mr. Brettler went through some intimate texts that you had with Mr. Bonnell leading up to your sexual encounter. At any time in any of your interactions with Mr. Bonnell, did you ever indicate in any way that it would be okay for him to share the video of you with anyone? No. Now, another question is, did he say the same for you? Because the answer to that is also
meow,
no.
Meow, 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 meow.
He says, I don't have any questions at
I'm
this
sorry,
time.
I don't know why I
The
did
judge
that.
says, all right,
sorry.
thank you, ma'am. You may step down. She says, thank you.
sorry.
Do you want to call the defendant? Then he says, I do. And the judge says, what I would rather do is have the defendant do the direct of the defendant so we can do it in a streamlined way. And then Andrew, my lawyer, says, we'll call the defendant, Mr. Bonnell, please. The clerk says, please state full name for the record and spell your last name for the record, please. And then I say, I'll do this in my own voice. My name is Stephen Bonnell II. My last name is Bonnell.
Well, yeah, of course you're going to do it in your own voice. What other voice would you do it in but your own?
Thereupon, Stephen K. Bonnell II, having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. My lawyer, Andrew. Thank you, Mr. Bonnell. Do you go by any other names? Oh, they don't write like what happens in the courtroom, but it was really funny. So I stand up, and it's kind of weird because like every time I'm moving in this courtroom, there's like wind blowing, so my hair is slightly ruffling. The jacket, my very nice and expensive suit, I button as I stand up. It's kind of a little bit billowing behind me. And I cross the stand. Initially, their lawyer was standing there, and he drops his pen. I bend over very gracefully. When I go to pick it up and hand it to him, he tries to bend over, and his glasses fall off, and he's like shaking. And I'm like, "Did you drop your pen, Mr. Lage?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then eventually he takes
I hope Pxie wins this lawsuit.
it, and then he tries to go back to his desk, but he goes to the wrong one because he's so starstruck. I'm just kidding. I'm making all this up. Okay. All right. Okay.